Hey guys, tonight we slip quietly backward in time, not with a loud crash or a flashing portal, but with a soft breath, like easing into a dream you didn't realize you were already having. You probably won't survive this. That thought lands gently, almost playfully, as you let it sink in not as a threat, but as a reminder. This world doesn't cushion you, it doesn't apologize, and yet, somehow, humans learn to live here anyway. You are about to learn how. Starting with the most important question of all, how do you eat when nothing is prepared for you? And just like that, it's the year 12,000 BCE, and you wake up in a shallow rock shelter at the edge of a wide valley. The ceiling above you is low and uneven, the stone cool and faintly damp. Smoke from last night's fire still lingers in the air, clinging to your hair, your skin, your clothes, or what passes for clothes. You smell it immediately: old embers, ash, animal fat, and something faintly herbal, like crushed leaves rubbed into fur. You shift slightly, noticing the texture beneath you. Not a bed, exactly, but layered comfort. Dried grasses first, then a rough hide, then another, softer one on top. You feel the weight of it all pressing you gently into the ground, insulating you from the cold stone below. Somewhere nearby, an animal stirs. You don't open your eyes yet, but you can hear it breathing. Slow, steady, warm. Before we go any further, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. No pressure. This world has enough of that already. And if you feel like it, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. Morning, midnight, somewhere in between. Just notice that for a second. Now, dim the lights both around you and in your mind. You open your eyes. Light filters in from the shelter's mouth, thin and pale, like watered-down milk. It's early. The sun hasn't climbed high enough to warm the valley yet. You hear wind moving through tall grass outside, a dry, whispering sound, punctuated by the distant call of birds. Your stomach responds before your thoughts do. A low, hollow sensation. Hunger. Not dramatic, just persistent. Food preparation, you realize, doesn't start with cooking. It starts with awareness. You sit up slowly, feeling the cool air brush against your skin where the furs fall away. You reach out and touch the stone wall beside you. Rough, cold, solid. This place holds heat well at night and shade during the day. Someone chose it carefully. Survival begins with placement. As you stand, you notice your body is already doing small calculations. How cold is it? How much energy do you have? What can you afford to spend today? These questions hum quietly in the background, like insects. You stretch, joints popping softly, and the animal nearby, a dog-like creature, not quite wolf, not quite companion, lifts its head. It watches you calmly. Food preparation is social here. Nothing happens alone. You step outside. The valley opens in front of you, wide and patient. Tall grasses ripple in the wind. A line of trees marks the edge of a stream in the distance. You smell damp earth, crushed green plants underfoot, and the faint metallic tang of water. Somewhere, something is cooking already, maybe another group nearby. Smoke curling faintly into the sky. Your mouth waters instinctively. Notice that. The way your body reacts before your mind catches up. There is no pantry, no shelf, No bag of ingredients waiting. Food preparation begins with movement, with walking, with scanning the ground, the trees, the sky. You crouch and run your fingers through the soil, dry on top, cooler beneath, recently disturbed in places. Animals pass through here. That matters. You pick up a stone absent-mindedly, feeling its weight, its balance, smooth on one side, sharp on another. This could cut. This could crush. Tools are not specialized yet. They are chosen moment by moment, then discarded or kept depending on how well they serve you. You slip the stone into a simple sling at your side. Preparation begins long before hunger peaks. As you walk, you notice plants, some familiar, some not. Broad leaves, thin stalks, small berries just beginning to ripen. You don't touch yet. Not everything here wants to nourish you. Some things want to teach painful lessons. Knowledge is passed quietly, through watching, through scars, through absence. You hear footsteps behind you. Soft. Someone else joins you, carrying a woven basket made from reeds and sinew. It smells faintly of smoke and old roots. You exchange no words. None are needed. The rhythm of walking synchronizes. Food preparation is communal. Even silence is shared. The sun rises a little higher, warming your shoulders. You feel it through the thin layers covering you, woven plant fibers, soft hide, fur at the edges. Layering matters here, not just for warmth, but for pockets, for carrying, for patting your body as you kneel, dig, lift, scrape. You stop near a cluster of low plants. Someone kneels and begins to dig with a flat stone. Careful, slow. You mirror the motion. The earth gives way, revealing thick roots beneath. You brush soil away with your hands, feeling grit under your nails. The smell is sharp, starchy, alive. These will need work, soaking, roasting, patience. Raw doesn't mean ready. You place the roots into the basket, noticing how heavy they feel already. Energy stored underground, waiting for someone stubborn enough to retrieve it. This is how brains grow. You think dimly. This is how humans learn to plan. A gust of wind carries smoke again, stronger this time. Your stomach tightens pleasantly. Fire waits back at camp. Fire means transformation. Fire means safety. Fire means tonight. You won't eat like an animal snapping at raw flesh. Tonight, you'll sit. You'll wait. You'll cook. As you turn back toward the shelter, basket heavier now, you take a slow breath. In through your nose, you smell grass, soil, fur, smoke. Out through your mouth, the sound blends with the wind. Notice the warmth beginning to pool in your chest despite the cool air. This is where food preparation truly begins, not with heat, not with tools, but with attention, with knowing where you are, with listening to your body, with understanding that survival is a series of small, careful choices made again and again, long before the first ember pops. And as you walk, you realize something else, something oddly comforting. Humans have always done this, long before recipes, long before kitchens, long before words for protein or calories. You are part of a very old rhythm now. Take another slow step. Feel the ground under your feet. The day has only just begun. You walk with intention now, not rushed, not lazy either, but tuned in, like your senses have been gently turned up a notch. The basket at your side bumps softly against your leg with each step, a quiet reminder that every movement has a reason. Foraging, you realize, isn't wandering aimlessly and hoping for luck. It's closer to reading. The land is a text, and you are slowly learning the alphabet. You pause at the edge of the valley where grass gives way to scattered shrubs. The air smells different here, greener, slightly bitter, with a sharp note that tickles the back of your nose. You crouch, letting your knees sink into the earth, and run your fingers over leaves slick with morning dew. Cold beads cling to your skin. You wipe your hand on your thigh and smile faintly. Water is precious, even when it arrives quietly like this. Your eyes move constantly, but softly, not darting. Scanning. You notice color first. Deep greens usually mean edible leaves. Bright reds and blues can be gifts or warnings. You tilt your head, letting the light shift. Some berries look plump, others shriveled. Some are pecked at by birds. That matters. Birds are opinionated eaters. You pluck one berry gently and roll it between your fingers. The skin is taut. It smells faintly sweet, faintly sour. You don't eat it yet. Instead, you crush it slightly and rub the juice onto the back of your hand. You wait. This pause is important. The group watches, relaxed but attentive. If your skin tingles or burns, this plant is not your friend. Nothing happens. Just cool air, sticky juice, and the distant sound of wind moving through leaves. You nod. The berry goes into the basket. Notice how calm this feels. There's no rush to consume. Foraging is slow by necessity. Impatience here doesn't just make you uncomfortable, it makes you sick, or worse. So you take your time, breathing evenly, letting the repetitive motion settle your thoughts. Reach, pluck, inspect, store, repeat. As you move deeper toward the tree line, the ground changes under your feet. Softer, spongier. You smell dampness before you see it. A stream snakes through the trees ahead, its surface broken by stones and fallen branches. The sound is gentle, almost musical. Dripping water, a quiet trickle. Your shoulders drop a fraction. Water means life. Water means plants that don't grow elsewhere. You kneel by the stream and dip your fingers in. Cold, sharp, it wakes you up. You bring a few drops to your lips, tasting minerals and earth, not clean by modern standards, but alive. You don't drink deeply yet. First, you look around. You check upstream. No carcasses. No obvious waste. Someone nods approval. You drink slowly, letting the cold settle in your belly. Nearby, tall reeds sway gently, their tops whisper together. You break one near the base and peel it open with your fingers. Inside, the pith is pale and moist. You taste a sliver. Mild, slightly sweet, edible. You add several stalks to the basket, arranging them carefully so they don't snap. Food preparation begins with respect for structure. Bruised food spoils faster. As you stand, you notice something else tracks. Small ones near the water's edge, cloven, fresh. Your heart rate lifts slightly. Animals feed here too. That's not a problem. It's information. Where animals eat, plants grow well. Where animals drink, paths form. You follow one such path with your eyes, seeing where grass bends, where soil is compacted. You smile to yourself. The landscape is generous if you learn how to ask. Further in, the forest thickens. Light breaks into soft columns between branches. The air smells richer here, mushroomy, loamy, with a hint of decay that isn't unpleasant. Renewal smells like this. You spot fungi growing at the base of a fallen log, pale caps, spongy texture. Someone beside you gently shakes their head. Not today. Maybe never. Some knowledge is very specific. Some mistakes are irreversible. You move on. Instead, you find nuts scattered beneath a tree, their shells cracked open in places. Squirrels have been busy. You pick one up and feel its weight, good density. You shake it gently near your ear. A faint rattle. Dry. That's good. You crack it between two stones, the sound sharp and satisfying. Inside, the nut is firm and oily. You lick your finger and touch it to the surface, tasting richness. Fat. Rare. Valuable. You wrap the nuts in a piece of cloth before placing them in the basket. Oils pick up smells easily. Smoke later will cling to them if you're not careful. You're already thinking ahead to the fire, to roasting, to storage. Foraging isn't separate from cooking. It's the first half of the same conversation. A breeze moves through the trees, carrying with it the scent of crushed herbs. Someone ahead is already collecting leaves long, narrow ones that release a sharp, clean smell when rubbed. Rosemary-like, antibacterial, good for flavor, good for preservation, good for calming the body before sleep. You take a few and tuck them into a fold of your clothing. Their scent follows you as you walk. Notice how your hands are always busy now, even when you're resting. They touch bark, leaves, stone. Texture becomes memory. Your fingers know what your eyes don't yet recognize. Smooth means ripe. Sticky means sweet or dangerous. Dry means old. Moist means alive. You stop again, this time under a tree heavy with small fruits. Someone climbs carefully, testing each branch before committing weight. You watch, learning where to place feet, how to distribute balance. Food preparation includes not falling. A broken limb here is a sentence, not an inconvenience. Fruit rains down gently as it's passed from hand to hand. You catch one instinctively, feeling its warmth from the sun. You bite into it. Just once. Juice runs down your chin. Sweet, with a sour edge that makes your mouth water. You laugh softly, surprised. Sugar like this is fleeting, seasonal, celebrated. You don't eat more. Not yet. Most goes into the basket. Tonight's meal will be shared. Tomorrow matters too. As the basket fills, its weight changes your posture. You adjust the strap across your shoulder, feeling muscle engage. This work is physical, but it's also meditative. Step, scan, breathe, choose. The repetitive nature of it quiets your mind in a way nothing else does. On the walk back, the sun is higher now. Warmth spreads across your back. You hear insects buzzing, birds arguing, leaves rustling. The basket smells incredible earthy roots, green leaves, sweet fruit, oily nuts. This is the scent of potential, of meals not yet imagined. You glance toward the shelter in the distance, smoke beginning to curl upward. Fire waits. Tools wait. Hands will soon transform what you've gathered. But for now, just notice this moment, the fullness of your basket, the steadiness of your breath, the simple truth that food, real food, begins long before the flame ever touches it. Take one more slow step. Let the ground support you. You're doing exactly what humans have always done, paying attention. One careful choice at a time. You smell the fire before you see it. It reaches you in soft waves as you approach the shelter again. A warm, smoky scent that wraps itself around your chest and loosens something inside you. Not sharp, not choking. This is a well-fed fire, patient, mature. It crackles quietly, like it's whispering to itself. You slow your steps without thinking, letting the rhythm of the place set your pace. Fire is not dramatic here. It's not roaring or dangerous. It's domesticated in the most ancient way, not owned, but respected. You lower the basket to the ground near the hearth, feeling the weight leave your shoulder. The relief is immediate. Your muscles relax, but your attention sharpens. Fire demands that. You crouch and hold your hands out, palms open, hovering just far enough away to feel warmth without pain. Heat pools there, seeping into your fingers, your wrists, your bones. Notice how instinctive this feels. You don't need to be taught where to place your hands. Your body already knows. The hearth itself is simple, a shallow pit lined with stones darkened by years of use. Ash gathers in soft drifts around the edges. Embers glow beneath a thin layer of gray, pulsing gently when the breeze moves through the shelter. Someone nudges a log slightly with a stick, not breaking the fire, just encouraging it to breathe. Fire needs air, too much. It flares. Too little. It sulks. Balance matters. You watch as someone selects a stone flat, broad, heavy, and sets it near the edge of the embers. Not in them. Near them. This stone will heat slowly, evenly. It's not rushed. Cooking begins with preheating long before food ever touches flame. You reach into the basket and pull out roots, brushing off dried soil. The texture is rough, fibrous, raw. They're tough, hard to digest. Someone slices them lengthwise using a sharp-edged stone. The motion is practiced, but careful. Fingers are kept well away. Blood and food do not mix here. Hygiene exists without the word for it. Thin slices go onto a flat slab of stone placed close to the fire. Not over it. You hear a faint hiss as moisture meets heat. The smell changes immediately. Earthy becomes nutty. Sharp becomes warm. Your stomach tightens pleasantly. Fire does something remarkable. It doesn't just cook food, it unlocks it. You lean closer, watching the surface of the root darken slightly. Sugars caramelize. Fibers soften. Calories become accessible. Your ancestors don't know the chemistry, but their bodies know the results. Cooked food means less time chewing, less energy spent digesting, more time thinking, talking, remembering. You shift your weight and feel the warmth through the soles of your feet. Someone has arranged stones in a low semicircle around the fire. You sit on one instinctively. It's warm, not hot. This is a warming bench, heat stored during the day, released slowly at night. Fire extends itself beyond flame. Nearby, the dog-like animal settles close, its side pressed against your leg. Its fur is thick, coarse, alive with heat, shared warmth, mutual benefit. Food scraps later will repay this silent service. Someone sprinkles crushed herbs over the roots as they cook. The scent blooms sharp, clean, comforting. These herbs do more than flavor. They repel insects, calm the stomach, signal safety to the brain. Smell is powerful like that. It tells you when it's okay to relax. You close your eyes for just a second and breathe it in. Smoke, herbs, roasting starch, animal fur, stone warmed by fire. This smell is ancient comfort. It's the reason humans gather. It's why night doesn't feel so dangerous when a flame is nearby. A piece of meat is brought out next, wrapped in leaves, dark red, fresh. It's placed near the fire first, not on it. Drying slightly, surface moisture evaporates. Someone turns it slowly, watching the way the light reflects off the fibers. Fire teaches patience. Rush it, and you burn the outside while the inside stays raw. Wait, and it rewards you. You listen. The fire pops softly. A log shifts, releasing a small shower of sparks that rise and vanish. Fat drips onto hot stone with a quiet sizzle. Somewhere outside, wind rattles grass. Inside the shelter, voices are low, calm. No one needs to speak loudly when fire is doing most of the talking. You're handed a stick smooth, worn from use. You spear a piece of root and hold it over the stone, turning it slowly. Your wrist rotates almost lazily. This is not frantic cooking. This is evening cooking, the kind that eases you toward rest. Notice the way your breathing slows to match the pace of the flame. Hot stones are moved now, carefully lifted with thick hides and placed into a shallow pit lined with leaves. Meat is laid on top, then covered, then sealed with earth. Stone oven. No metal, no timer, just experience. Heat trapped, time allowed to do its work. You wipe your hands on your clothing, feeling the grit of ash. Ash is useful too. Later, it will clean tools, absorb grease, preserve food. Waste doesn't exist here. Everything cycles. A small pouch of water skins hangs nearby. Someone drops a heated stone into one carefully. The water inside begins to steam, stone boiling. No pot needed. You add herbs and crushed berries. A warm drink forms, faintly sweet, faintly bitter. You sip slowly, feeling heat travel down your throat and settle in your chest. Taste this moment. Warm liquid, smoke on your tongue, comfort earned through effort. Firelight flickers across faces, turning them into moving shadows on the stone walls. Stories will come later. For now, there's quiet focus. Food preparation is the anchor of the evening. It gives structure to time. Before fire, after fire, before eating, after eating. You realize something as you sit there, hands warm, stomach beginning to relax. Fire doesn't just make food safer, it makes people gentler. It slows movements, encourages sitting, encourages sharing. Predators hunt in the dark. Humans light it up. Someone checks the buried meat, pressing a hand to the earth. Heat radiates upward. Not ready yet. Good things wait. You stretch your legs, feeling the stone floor beneath you hard, but familiar. A fur is draped across your shoulders. Someone did that without asking. No comment. Care is quiet here. As the fire continues its steady work, you feel yourself sinking into the rhythm of it. Turn. Wait. Breathe. Fire teaches you how to be patient with food and with yourself. And in this flickering light, surrounded by warmth, you understand why fire changes everything. Not because it's powerful, but because it's dependable. Night after night, Meal after meal, flame after flame. Stay here a moment longer. Watch the embers pulse. Feel the heat along your palms. The meal is coming. There's no need to rush. You reach for a tool without thinking, and that's when you realize something quietly remarkable. Your hand doesn't hesitate. It closes around a stone flake resting near the fire, its edge sharp enough to catch the light, its other side worn smooth from use. The weight feels right, balanced, familiar. Stone tools, you're learning, aren't crude. They're intimate. Each one fits a hand, a task, a moment in time. You sit cross-legged on the stone floor, warmth radiating up through your legs, and place a strip of meat on a flat rock in front of you. The surface bears scars, thin grooves from countless meals prepared before this one. You run your fingers over them. History you can touch. The flake moves through flesh with a soft, deliberate sound, not a slice so much as a parting. You apply steady pressure, letting the sharpness do the work. Rushing would tear the fibers. Precision keeps everything clean. Your breathing matches the motion. In, press, out, release. Notice the smell. Raw meat smells metallic, mineral-rich, alive, not unpleasant. Honest. You trim away sinew carefully, setting it aside. Nothing is discarded. Sinew becomes cord. Fat becomes fuel or flavor. Bone becomes tool. Food preparation here is an exercise in completeness. Nearby, someone grinds seeds between two stones. The rhythm is hypnotic. Grind, pause, grind. Fine powder gathers, pale and fragrant. You smell it even before it's mixed with water. Nutty, warm. This will thicken soups, stretch meals, feed children and elders who can't chew tough meat. You glance over and notice how the grinding stone fits into the curve of the lower one. Not accidental. Generations of hands have shaped these tools to match the body. Stone remembers movement. Over time, it becomes ergonomic. You turn back to your task and switch tools, choosing a heavier stone to crack nuts. The sound echoes softly in the shelter. Sharp, clean. You separate shell from meat with practiced flicks of your fingers. The oils coat your skin slightly. You wipe them on your clothing, leaving darkened patches that will smell faintly of food long after the meal is done. Smell is storage here. It clings to everything. Someone passes you a piece of hide. You lay sliced meat onto it, arranging strips so they don't touch. Airflow matters. These will dry later, maybe smoked, maybe eaten tomorrow. Preparation doesn't end when hunger does. It extends forward in time. You reach for a bone awl, smooth and pointed, and poke small holes along the edge of the hide. This will be tied and hung near the fire, high enough to avoid animals, close enough to warmth. Smoke will curl around it, carrying preservative compounds into the meat. No one calls it chemistry, but the effect is the same. Your fingers move confidently now, even though you've never done this before, at least not in this life. Muscle memory feels ancient. There's something grounding about working with your hands, about creating order from raw materials. Each small success builds trust between you and the environment. A child wanders close, watching. You slow your movements slightly, making them visible. Teaching happens like this, not with lectures, with repetition, with patience. You hand them a dull stone and a soft root. They mimic you, tongue between teeth, completely focused. Food preparation is education. The fire crackles as someone adds another log. Sparks lift briefly. then fade. Light dances across the stone walls, revealing old markings lines, shapes, maybe stories. Your mind drifts for a second, imagining past hands doing exactly what you're doing now. Same motions, same focus, different faces. You scrape fat from a piece of meat and set it aside in a shallow stone dish. Later, it will be rendered slowly, becoming liquid gold. Fat is energy. Fat is warmth. Fat is survival in winter. You don't waste it. Ash accumulates near the hearth. Someone sweeps it gently into a pile using a bundle of twigs. This ash will clean tools. It will absorb grease, mixed with water. It will scrub hands and surfaces. Cleanliness here is quiet, habitual. Illness teaches harsh lessons. You rinse your hands briefly in a small bowl of water, rubbing them with ash. The texture is gritty, but effective. You smell smoke and clean mineral dust. Your skin feels dry but refreshed. Simple solutions work when you pay attention. Back at your station, you use a sharp flake to shave bark from a stick. This will become a skewer. The outer layer peels away easily, revealing pale wood beneath. You test its flexibility. Good. It won't snap when heated. You slide pieces of meat onto it, spacing them carefully. Fire is approached with respect. You don't thrust food into flame. You hover it nearby, turning slowly. The meat darkens, juices sizzling quietly. The sound is soft, almost conversational. You adjust distance constantly, reading the heat with your eyes, your skin, your instincts. Someone hums quietly. A low, steady sound. Not a song exactly, more like a vibration. It blends with the crackle of fire and the rhythm of tools. You feel it in your chest. Food preparation is not silent, but it's not loud either. It lives in the middle space. You taste a small piece once it's cooked, just enough to check. Warm, savory, smoke-laced. Your jaw relaxes. Satisfaction arrives not as indulgence, but as relief. You nod, passing the skewer along. Approval doesn't need words. Nearby, roots roasted earlier are mashed with ground seeds and warm water. Thick paste forms. Someone adds herbs, crushed between fingers. The scent blooms again. This mixture will be spread on hot stone, forming flat cakes. Primitive bread, filling, reliable. You press one gently, feeling heat through the hide protecting your hand. The surface bubbles slightly. You flip it with a stick. Perfect. You smile without realizing it. Stone tools require maintenance. You sit back and sharpen an edge, striking carefully at just the right angle. Tiny flakes fall away, catching firelight. Each strike is deliberate. Too hard, and you ruin the tool. Too soft, and nothing happens. Balance again. As you work, you notice your shoulders have dropped. Your breathing is slow. Your mind is focused but calm. There's no hurry. The food will be ready when it's ready. Tools enforce patience. They demand presence. You look around the shelter. Everyone is engaged. Cutting, grinding, stirring, tending fire, teaching, watching. This is how communities form around shared labor that feeds everyone. You wipe your hands on fur, feeling its softness. Warmth surrounds you from every direction. Fire, stone, bodies, effort. You feel useful, connected, grounded. Stone tools may seem simple, but they shape more than food. They shape time. They slow you down enough to notice what matters. Take a slow breath. Feel the tool in your hand, the heat on your face, the steady hum of preparation all around you. This is not primitive. This is precise. The air shifts when meat becomes the focus. Not dramatically, just enough that you notice it in your chest before you name it. Attention narrows. Movements become quieter, more deliberate. Meat is different from plants. It carries weight, responsibility, memory. It once moved. It once breathed. That matters here. You sit closer to the hearth as a larger cut is brought forward, laid gently on a hide as if it might still feel the touch. The surface is dark, firm, faintly glossy. You smell iron and smoke and something deeper life. Concentrated. Your hands hover for a moment before you begin. Palms warm, fingers steady. Preparing meat starts long before the cut reaches the fire. It begins with inspection. You run your fingers along the grain, feeling where muscle tightens, where it loosens. You press gently, watching how it springs back. Fresh. Good. Someone nods approval. Trust is built on moments like this. You take a sharp stone blade and angle it carefully, following natural seams instead of forcing your way through. The blade slides where it wants to go. You let it. Notice how little effort this takes when you cooperate with the material. You separate muscle groups cleanly, laying them out in order of use. Tougher cuts go to slow cooking or drying. Tender ones will be eaten tonight. Nothing is random. Hunger teaches classification faster than any textbook. Fat is trimmed next, not discarded, never discarded. You peel it away in smooth sheets, creamy and dense. It's set aside in a shallow stone bowl. Later, it will be rendered over low heat, becoming liquid warmth. Fat coats mouths. Fat feeds fires. Fat fuels bodies when the cold arrives. Someone nearby scrapes hide with a curved tool, removing remaining flesh. The sound is soft, rhythmic. Scrape. Pause. Scrape. The hide will be cleaned, stretched, dried. It will become clothing, bedding, shelter. The animal continues to protect the group long after death. Respect lives in this efficiency. You turn back to the meat and slice long strips, even thickness, consistent width. Uniformity matters. It ensures even cooking, even drying. Predictable results. Precision here isn't luxury, it's survival. A child watches again, wide-eyed, quiet. You slow your movements, exaggerate slightly. You let them feel the weight of the blade, under supervision, their small hands guided. Meat preparation is not hidden from them. Knowledge withheld is danger deferred. You hand them a small piece of sinew and show how it stretches, how strong it is. Their eyes widen. Cordage from flesh, tools from life. Everything connects. The fire is adjusted now. Logs are shifted, embers spread, flame lowered. Meat doesn't like aggression. It prefers steadiness. Someone fans gently with a piece of bark, coaxing heat without sparks. Smoke curls upward, thin and blue, clinging to the ceiling of the shelter before slipping out. You skewer strips onto wooden sticks, spacing them carefully so heat can circulate. You test the distance by holding your hand where the meat will be. Warm, not painful. Good. You position the skewers and sit back on your heels. Listen. There's a soft hiss as fat meets heat, a low crackle, a whispering sound as moisture escapes. Your mouth waters immediately. The smell deepens, savory, rich, unmistakable. Your stomach tightens in anticipation. You turn the skewers slowly, deliberately, not on a schedule, but in response to what you see and smell. Color deepens from red to brown. Edges crisp slightly. Smoke kisses the surface. This is roasting, not burning. A conversation between fire and flesh. Someone sprinkles crushed herbs over the meat, rubbing them in gently. Flavor, yes, but also preservation. Some herbs slow spoilage. Some deter insects. Some calm digestion. Food preparation here is layered knowledge, built over generations, refined through survival. You feel heat on your face, on your forearms. Sweat beads lightly on your skin. You don't wipe it away immediately. Salt is precious. Your body reclaims what it can. Nearby, bones are cracked open with a heavy stone. The sound is sharp, final. Inside, marrow gleams, pale and glossy. Someone scoops it out carefully and spreads it onto a hot stone. It melts instantly, releasing a rich, almost sweet aroma. Marrow is shared first. High energy, high value. It goes to those who need it, most children, elders, the injured. You watch this distribution quietly. No arguments, no hoarding. Food allocation is survival strategy disguised as kindness. The roasted strips are tested now. You pull one away from heat and let it rest briefly. Resting matters. Juices redistribute. Texture improves. You tear a piece gently. It yields without resistance. Perfect. You take a bite. Warmth floods your mouth. Smoke. Salt from sweat and ash. Herbs blooming at the back of your throat. Fat coats your tongue. Your jaw relaxes. Your eyes close for just a second. This isn't indulgence. It's fulfillment. Your body recognizes this as success. You chew slowly, deliberately, honoring effort. Eating fast wastes energy. Eating slowly signals safety. Your breath deepens. Muscles soften. The firelight flickers across your closed eyelids. When you open your eyes, you see others eating too. Quiet nods, soft exhalations, satisfaction shared silently. Food tastes better when everyone has enough. The remaining meat is prepared for later. Strips are hung near the fire, high enough to avoid animals, close enough for smoke to reach them. Someone adjusts their spacing carefully. Too close, and they cook. Too far, and they spoil. Smoke curls around them, carrying compounds that will preserve them for days, weeks, maybe longer. You rub ash into your hands again, cleaning away grease. Your skin smells faintly of smoke and herbs. It will for hours, maybe days. This scent marks you as fed, as safe, as part of something. The animal companion waits patiently nearby. You toss it a small scrap. It catches it mid-air, tail wagging once before settling again. Partnership renewed. Mutual survival acknowledged. As the meal winds down, bones are stacked neatly. Tools are wiped clean. Fat is stored. Ash is banked. Fire is fed just enough to last through the evening. Nothing is left chaotic. Disorder invites danger. You lean back against the stone wall, feeling warmth seep into your spine. Your belly is full, not heavy, just content. There's still work to be done later. But for now, there's space to breathe. You realize something subtle. something easy to miss. Meat preparation here isn't brutal. It's careful, thoughtful, almost tender. Violence happened earlier, out of necessity. What remains is stewardship turning life into nourishment with as little waste, fear, or hurry as possible. Take a slow breath. Taste the last hint of smoke on your tongue. Feel the heat of the fire and the steadiness of the stone behind you. This is how humans learn to eat without forgetting what it costs. You wake your hands again by pressing them flat against the warm stone beside the fire, feeling heat travel slowly into your palms. Your stomach is no longer sharp with hunger, but it isn't finished either. Meat satisfies, but it doesn't sustain alone. The body knows this. It asks, quietly, for something grounding, something that lasts. Roots. You glance toward the basket you carried in earlier, now resting in the shadows. Thick tubers sit inside it, still streaked with dried soil, patient and unassuming. These are not flashy foods. They don't smell sweet. They don't drip fat. And yet, without them, none of this works for long. You pull one free and feel its weight. Dense, compact, energy packed underground, protected from frost, fire, and animals. Roots are survival disguised as inconvenience. You sit near the fire again and begin peeling with the edge of a stone flake. The skin comes away in long curls, rough and fibrous. You flick them aside into a small pile that will later be burned or composted. Waste feeds the next cycle. Everything has a place. The exposed flesh is pale, slightly damp, faintly sweet-smelling. You tap it with your knuckle. Solid, raw. It would be tough, starchy, hard on the gut. Cooked, it becomes fuel that burns slow and steady. This is the food that carries people through winter, through illness, through long walks when hunting fails. You slice the root into thick chunks, not thin. Thin would burn. Thick will soften gradually, letting heat penetrate without scorching the outside. Experience lives in these choices. Someone brings over a shallow pit lined with stones, already warm from earlier. You lay the chunks inside, spacing them carefully, then cover them with broad leaves. Another layer of heated stones goes on top. Finally, everything is sealed with earth. A low, gentle heat will do the work over time. This is not cooking for flavor. This is cooking for survival. You wipe your hands on your clothing and notice the faint sweetness clinging to your skin. Roots smell like potential, like tomorrow, like the quiet confidence of knowing you won't starve if the hunt fails. While the roots cook, others prepare different plants. Tubers from wetter ground are soaked in water skins, leaching bitterness away. Some plants hide toxins that fire alone can't remove. Knowledge keeps people alive. So does patience. You kneel beside a bowl where crushed seeds are being mixed with water. The paste is thick, sticky, clinging to fingers. Someone adds a pinch of ash, not much. Just enough. Alkali helps break down tough compounds, making nutrients more accessible. Chemistry again, practiced without words. You stir slowly with a stick, feeling resistance change as the mixture smooths. The smell is warm and nutty. This will be cooked into dense cakes that fill the stomach and stay there. Food that doesn't ask for much after it's eaten. Children hover nearby, watching closely. You hand one a small lump of the paste. They roll it between their palms, giggling as it sticks. Their hands are dusted with flour and ash, little echoes of your own. Learning happens through touch. You glance toward the fire and notice someone adjusting a flat stone closer to the embers. This will be the cooking surface. You press a small piece of paste onto it. It sizzles faintly, releasing steam. The surface firms quickly, forming a crust. You flip it carefully. The underside is speckled and golden. You smile. Reliable, predictable, comforting. Roots are uncovered now. Someone brushes away the earth and lifts a stone. Steam rises, carrying a rich, earthy scent. You reach in with a stick and spear a chunk, pulling it free. The surface is darkened, but not burnt. You press gently. It yields easily. You break it open. Inside, it's soft, almost fluffy, releasing a gentle sweetness. You blow on it briefly and take a bite. Warm, mild, grounding. It settles in your stomach like an anchor. Notice how different this feels from meat. Less excitement, more stability. Roots don't spike energy. They sustain it. They allow long thinking, long planning. They free the mind from constant hunger, creating space for stories, tools, rituals. Civilization begins in places like this, with people patient enough to dig and wait. You sprinkle crushed herbs over the root pieces, not for necessity this time, but for pleasure. Flavor matters too. Pleasure keeps people human. The remaining roots are mashed with a stone, mixed with rendered fat, and shaped into dense portions. These will be wrapped in leaves and stored near the fire, ready to be eaten tomorrow or the next day. Food that waits for you feels like wealth. You watch as someone tucks the bundles into a niche in the stone wall, a natural pantry. The spot stays cool during the day and warm at night. Microclimate creation. Even here, survival is architecture as much as effort. As you sit back, chewing slowly, you feel a deep sense of calm settle over you. Your belly is full in a different way now. Not just satisfied, but secure. Your body recognizes starch as promise. The firelight flickers, casting shadows that stretch and contract. The sound of chewing is soft, communal. No one rushes. Eating is part of evening ritual, easing everyone toward rest. You notice the animal companion gnawing contentedly on a bone nearby, its movements slow and satisfied. Full bellies make for peaceful nights. Someone hands you a warm drink made from boiled roots and herbs. Slightly sweet, slightly bitter. You sip slowly, feeling warmth spread through your chest and down into your limbs. Your breathing deepens. Your shoulders loosen. Roots don't just feed muscles, they feed nerves. They tell the body it's safe to rest. As the meal winds down, leftover peels are added to the fire. They flare briefly, then turn to ash. Tomorrow, that ash will clean tools or enrich soil. Nothing ends here. Everything transforms. You lean back against the stone wall again, feeling its steady support. The fire hums softly. Outside, the wind has picked up, rattling grasses and leaves. Inside, it's warm, sheltered, prepared. You realize something quietly profound. Food preparation isn't about abundance. It's about continuity, about choosing foods that carry you forward, even when conditions change. Roots do that. They wait underground, unseen, holding energy until someone remembers to look down. take a slow breath. Feel the warmth in your stomach, the steadiness in your body, the quiet confidence that comes from knowing tomorrow is already, in some small way, taken care of. This is how humans learn to endure. Sweetness arrives quietly, not with fanfare, not with abundance, but in brief windows that feel almost secret. You sense it before you see it, the way the group's energy lifts just slightly, the way hands move with a little more care. Berries and seeds are not survival staples. They are rewards. They remind you that the land can be generous, not just demanding. You move toward a patch of low bushes near the shelter, where small, dark berries cluster beneath leaves. The air here smells brighter green and sharp, with a faint sweetness that rides on the breeze. You crouch, knees brushing cool earth, and gently part the leaves with your fingers. Dew beads cling to them, soaking into your skin, cold, refreshing. You pick one berry and hold it up to the light. The skin is taut, almost glossy. You roll it between your fingers, feeling its firmness, ripe. You place it on your tongue and bite gently. The burst is immediate, sweet, then tart, then gone. Your mouth waters. You laugh softly, surprised again by how powerful such a small thing can be. Sugar hits the body fast. Energy flares. Spirits lift. You understand why children love this part most. You don't eat many. You never do. Instead, you pluck carefully, placing berries into a shallow basket lined with leaves. Bruising spoils them quickly. Preservation matters even for treats. Nearby, someone gathers seeds from tall grasses. They run their hands upward along the stalks, stripping seed heads into a woven pouch. The sound is dry and whispery. Seeds are tiny, but together they matter. They are concentrated energy, designed by nature to start life over again. Humans borrow that power. You sit with a flat stone between your knees and pour a handful of seeds onto it. They look insignificant, pale, lightweight, but when you crush them with another stone, a faint oil smell rises, nutty, warm, promising. You grind slowly, feeling resistance change as hard becomes powder. Notice how rhythmic this is. Grind, pause, breathe, grind again. Your thoughts quiet themselves without effort. The powder is mixed with warm water and a pinch of fat. It becomes a paste, smoother than before, richer. This mixture will be cooked gently, not to fill bellies, but to add variety. Morale matters. Flavor matters. Even here, someone adds a few crushed berries to part of the paste. The color shifts pale brown to faint purple. Sweet bread. Rare. Special. Saved for later. Maybe for children. Maybe for elders. Celebration is subtle, but intentional. You bring a small bowl of berries closer to the fire, setting it near warmth, but not too close. Heat would ruin them. Instead, they soften slightly, releasing aroma. Sweetness blooms in the air, mixing with smoke and herbs. The combination feels almost luxurious. You inhale deeply. Smoke. Fruit. Warm stone. It's a scent that doesn't exist in your modern world anymore. Not quite. Something ancient and fleeting. Seeds continue to be processed. Some are roasted lightly on hot stone, stirred constantly so they don't burn. Roasting drives off moisture, extends storage life. enhances flavor. You taste one once it cools. Crunchy, toasty, satisfying. These will be stored in skin pouches, ready to be eaten during long walks or lean days. You notice how careful everyone is with these foods. Portions are small, hands are clean, attention is high. Scarcity teaches appreciation faster than abundance ever could. A child drops a handful of berries by accident. They scatter across the stone floor, rolling into cracks. For a moment, the air tightens. Then someone laughs softly and kneels, helping gather what can be saved. No scolding, no panic. Loss happens. You adapt. The berries that can't be recovered are crushed and smeared onto a warm stone, where they sizzle briefly and caramelize. Nothing wasted. Even accidents become food. You taste the result, thick, sticky, intensely flavored, a smear of sweetness against the tongue. Your eyes close again, involuntarily. Pleasure doesn't need permission. As evening deepens, seeds and berries are incorporated into the meal in small ways. A pinch here, a sprinkle there. Contrast wakes the senses. Meat tastes richer beside sweetness. Roots feel more satisfying when paired with crunch. You feel energy return, but not restlessness. A gentle lift. Enough to talk, to smile, to stay awake just a little longer by the fire. You notice conversations becoming softer, more playful. Laughter bubbles up, quiet but genuine. Sugar does that. It nudges joy forward. Some berries are crushed and mixed with water and herbs, creating a faintly sweet drink. You sip slowly, cool, then warm as it passes through you. Hydration matters. Balance matters. Seeds are also practical. Some are saved carefully, separated from food stores. These will be planted later, near the shelter, near water. The future begins in the same hands that prepare dinner. You watch someone tuck a small pouch of seeds into a niche in the wall, higher than the others, protected, planned. You feel a strange swell of emotion at the sight. Hope doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like a handful of seeds saved instead of eaten. As the fire burns lower, the sweetness lingers in the air and on your lips. You lick them absent-mindedly, tasting fruit and smoke and time. Berries and seeds don't keep you alive on their own, but they make life worth repeating. They teach restraint, timing, celebration. They remind you that not all nourishment is about survival. Some of it is about joy. You lean back, stretching your legs, feeling warmth soak into your bones. Your belly is comfortably full now. Not heavy. Balanced. Outside, night settles in. The sounds change. Insects hum. A distant animal calls. Inside, the group draws closer to the fire. Food preparation is nearly done for the day, but its effects linger in warmth, in mood, in quiet satisfaction. Take a slow breath. Taste the last echo of sweetness. Feel how it brightens the darkness without overwhelming it. This is how humans learn to savor, not just to eat, but to notice. You settle closer to the embers now, knees drawn in slightly, posture relaxed in a way that only comes after food has been prepared and shared. The fire has changed. Earlier, it was busy hungry, active, demanding attention. Now it's quieter, lower, A bed of glowing coals breathes gently beneath a veil of ash, releasing heat slowly, evenly, like it understands the rhythm of evening. This is roasting time. Not hurried, not flashy, just patient heat and watchful eyes. You lift a long, flat stick and use it to rake embers outward, spreading them into a shallow crescent. The color shifts from bright orange to deep red. This matters. Flames cook fast and uneven. Embers cook thoroughly. Roasting is about trust, trusting heat to do its work if you give it space. You place a piece of meat directly onto a warm stone near the embers, not touching flame, just close enough to feel the steady radiance. It sizzles quietly. No drama, no smoke plume, just a low sound, like a whispered promise. You turn it slowly with the tip of the stick, rotating it a quarter at a time. Notice how deliberate your movements are. There's no multitasking here. Roasting asks for presence. If you look away too long, food burns. If you rush, it toughens. You stay. You watch. You listen. The surface of the meat darkens gradually, tiny bubbles forming as fat melts and renders. The smell deepens again, rich, savory, grounding. Your mouth waters, but you don't move faster. You've learned that hunger doesn't shorten cooking time. It only makes impatience louder. Nearby, roots wrapped in leaves are placed directly onto embers. The leaves hiss and char, sealing moisture inside. Steam builds slowly. You flip the bundles occasionally, using a stick to avoid tearing the leaf casing. Roasting roots this way concentrates sweetness, caramelizes starches, and fills the shelter with a warm, earthy aroma. Someone sets flat cakes made earlier onto a stone closer to the heat. You watch their surfaces bubble slightly, edges firming. They're turned once, only once. Overhandling dries them out. Experience teaches restraint. The fire pops softly. A spark jumps, then fades. Ash shifts. You feel heat on your cheeks, on the bridge of your nose. Your skin glows faintly. Roasting warms more than food. It warms faces, hands, conversations. You glance around. Everyone has found a place sitting, squatting, leaning. The animal companion is curled into a tight circle, tail over nose, fur catching embers glow. Children are quieter now, energy softened by warmth and fullness. Elders sit closest to the heat, hands extended, palms open. This arrangement is not accidental. Roasting brings people inward. It reshapes space. You lift the meat and press it gently. It yields slightly, springing back, almost ready. You let it rest near the warmth rather than directly over it. Resting again, always resting. Even fire needs pauses. Someone brushes the surface with a sprig of herbs dipped in rendered fat. The herbs crackle faintly, releasing aroma. This isn't garnish, it's protection. Fat seals moisture. Herbs deter insects. Flavor follows function. You inhale slowly. Smoke curls around you, carrying scent into your hair, your clothes, your memory. Long after this night ends, this smell will linger, marking you as part of this moment. Roots are opened now. Charred leaves are peeled back, revealing softened flesh beneath. Steam rises, thick and comforting. You spear a piece and blow gently before tasting. Sweetness blooms, deeper than before. Roasting transforms patience into reward. Flat cakes are passed around. You break one open. The inside is dense, warm, slightly chewy. You spread a bit of marrow across it. It melts instantly. Rich, filling. You chew slowly, feeling warmth spread through your jaw, your throat, your chest. Listen to the sounds around you. Chewing, soft murmurs, the fire's low crackle. Outside, night insects pulse rhythmically. The world feels held together by these small, steady noises. Roasting continues even as eating begins. Not everything is meant for now. Some pieces are intentionally over-roasted drier, tougher. These will keep longer. Smoke and heat work together to preserve. You hang these strips higher, where smoke thickens but heat softens. Someone adjusts the shelter's entrance, covering a hide pulled partially across the opening. Wind is cut. Warmth is trapped. Smoke still escapes through gaps above. Microclimate creation. Again, fire shapes architecture. You feel the temperature difference immediately. Heat pools near the floor, around your legs, your feet. Your toes relax. You wiggle them slightly, enjoying the sensation. Comfort arrives in layers: fur, stone, fire, food. A shallow bowl of warm liquid is passed to you. It's been heated gently near the embers, never boiled. You sip. The warmth slides down slowly, easing muscles you didn't realize were tight. Hydration meets heat. The body sighs. Roasting food at night serves another purpose. Light. Predators avoid flame. Shadows flicker, confusing eyes trained for darkness. Fire extends day into night, making it safer to eat, to talk, to linger. You notice how no one eats alone. Even when someone steps away, they return quickly. Roasting encourages gathering. It rewards proximity. As embers dim, someone adds a single log, not to revive flame fully, just enough to keep heat alive. Fire is fed like a living thing, not starved, not overindulged. You hold your hands out again, palms open. Heat kisses your skin. You turn them slowly, front to back, warming evenly. This motion feels older than language. Your breathing slows. Your thoughts stretch out, unhurried. There's no urgency left in the evening. Everything that needed to be done has been done. Everything that needed attention received it. Roasting winds down naturally. Food is moved away from heat. Embers are banked. Ash is spread. Fire transitions from cooking partner to night guardian. You lean back, spine resting against stone. The wall is warm now. Heat absorbed earlier releasing itself slowly. Stone remembers fire. It gives back long after flames fade. You feel full, not just in your stomach, but in a deeper way. The kind of fullness that comes from effort rewarded, from time spent attentively, from sharing warmth and food and quiet. Roasting teaches patience, but it also teaches something softer. It teaches you to stay, to sit with heat instead of chasing flame, to wait for transformation rather than forcing it, to let evening unfold at its own pace. Take a slow breath. Feel the warmth still radiating from the embers, the steadiness of stone, the calm of bodies at rest. This is how humans learn to end the day, not with urgency, but with glow. You notice the shift when water enters the conversation. Fire has been doing most of the work so far, roasting, drying, warming, but now attention turns to something quieter, subtler. Someone lifts a water skin from its hook and sets it carefully near the hearth. The surface of the hide darkens slightly where heat reaches it. Steam does not rise yet. This is preparation, not action. Stone boiling doesn't announce itself. It happens almost humbly. You select a smooth, rounded stone from a small pile set aside for this purpose. It fits comfortably in your palm, dense and reassuring. Not all stones work. Some crack. Some explode. These have been tested over time. Survivors, like everything else here. You place the stone into the embers, nestling it carefully among the coals. It disappears into the glow. Time stretches. You wait. Waiting is part of the technique. Too short, and nothing happens. Too long, and the stone weakens. Experience lives in patience again. While the stone heats, others prepare ingredients, sliced roots, strips of dried meat, crushed herbs, a handful of seeds. Nothing dramatic, just components that will become something more when water joins them. You crouch and peer into the water skin. The surface reflects firelight in trembling patterns. You can smell it clean, faintly earthy. Water carries memory of where it came from. Stream, rain, snowmelt. You dip a finger in. Cool. Soon. It won't be. Someone nods to you. It's time. You use a thick piece of bark to lift the heated stone from the fire. Heat radiates fiercely now, forcing you to keep moving. You lower it carefully into the water skin. The moment it touches, everything changes. There's a sudden hiss. Steam bursts upward. The water churns violently around the stone, bubbles racing to the surface. The skin creaks slightly but holds. You step back instinctively, heart jumping, then laugh softly as the reaction settles into a steady simmer. This is boiling without fire touching water. You watch, fascinated, as heat transfers silently from stone to liquid. The water grows cloudy as minerals release. Steam rises in gentle plumes, carrying warmth and moisture into the shelter. The air changes. Softer, heavier, comforting. Ingredients are added slowly, roots first. They sink, then swirl as convection currents form. Meat follows, releasing aroma almost immediately. Herbs last, crushed between fingers before being dropped in. Their scent blooms, sharp and clean, cutting through smoke. You stir gently with a stick, careful not to puncture the skin. The liquid moves lazily, thickening slightly as starches release. This is not a rolling boil. It's a controlled simmer. Stone boiling is precise in its own quiet way. You lean closer, feeling steam brush your face, damp and warm. Your pores open. Your breathing deepens. The sound is soothing, a low burble, a faint hiss. It's different from fire's crackle, more intimate, like a heartbeat. Someone adds another heated stone. The reaction repeats: steam, churn, then calm. Heat is maintained incrementally. Control is everything. You're not fighting water. You're persuading it. The smell now is rich and layered, savory broth, earthy roots, herbal brightness. You inhale slowly, letting it fill your chest. This isn't just food. It's hydration, warmth, medicine, comfort all in one vessel. you realize something quietly important. Stone boiling allows you to extract everything. Nutrients that roasting leaves behind dissolve into liquid. Tough fibers soften completely. Bones can be added, releasing minerals. Nothing is lost. This is efficiency disguised as gentleness. You sit back slightly, watching the steam rise and curl. It fogs the air near the ceiling, then drifts out through gaps. The shelter feels warmer, more enclosed. Moist heat settles into your joints, easing stiffness from the day's work. Children gather closer now, drawn by the sound and smell. Elders, too. Soups and stews are democratic foods. Easy to eat, easy to digest, easy to share. You ladle a small portion into a shallow stone bowl using a curved piece of bark. The liquid is cloudy, pale brown, flecked with herbs. You blow gently across the surface before sipping. The warmth spreads instantly, down your throat, into your chest, along your spine. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw unclenches. This is different from solid food. This is reassurance in liquid form. Taste it. Savory, mild, balanced. The herbs don't shout. The meat supports rather than dominates. The roots give body. Everything contributes without competing. Stone boiling doesn't favor any one ingredient. It blends. You sip slowly, feeling heat seep outward from your core. Your hands warm from the bowl. Steam brushes your nose. Your eyes soften. This is the kind of food that invites silence. Around you, others drink too. Quiet nods, soft exhalations. Someone sighs audibly. A long release. The animal companion inches closer, curious, and is offered a cooled portion later. No one rushes. Another stone is added, then another, maintaining warmth without urgency. The process feels almost meditative. Heat. Add. Stir. Wait. Repeat. Your thoughts slow to match the rhythm. You notice how this method allows cooking after dark without bright flames. Predators see less. The shelter stays discreet. Stone boiling is strategic as well as nourishing. As the pot empties, the last servings are thicker, richer. You scrape the bottom gently, not wanting to miss anything. This final portion is often the most prized, concentrated, dense. You savor it. When the water skin is empty, stones are removed carefully and set aside to cool. They'll be used again tomorrow. Nothing about this process is single use. Everything cycles. You wipe your hands on fur, feeling dampness from steam. Your skin smells faintly of herbs and mineral-rich water, clean in a different way. The fire has dimmed further now, embers glowing softly. The shelter is warm, humid, comfortable. Bellies are full in a way that feels deeply settling. Heavy eyelids begin to appear. Stone boiling doesn't just cook food, it changes the atmosphere. It softens edges. It prepares bodies for rest. You lean back against the stone wall again, feeling warmth slowly radiate into your spine. The air is thick with steam and smoke and contentment. Outside, night deepens. Inside, everything is calm. You take one last slow breath, tasting herbs on the back of your tongue, feeling heat linger in your chest. This is how humans learned to drink their food, to turn fire and water into something gentle, to end the evening not with hunger, but with warmth that lasts. You don't notice fermentation happening at first. That's the strange thing about it. It doesn't announce itself with fire or steam or sound. It works quietly, patiently, in the background, while attention is elsewhere. And yet, over time, it changes everything. You discover it by accident just like your ancestors did. Near the back of the shelter, in a shaded corner where the stone stays cool and dry, you notice a small bundle wrapped in leaves. You remember it vaguely. Crushed berries mixed with water, some mashed roots, left there days ago and forgotten in the rhythm of gathering and cooking. You crouch and unwrap it carefully. The smell is different. Not bad, not rotten, just changed, sharper, slightly tangy. Alive in a way fresh food isn't. Your eyebrows lift a fraction as curiosity nudges caution aside. You dip a finger in and touch it to your tongue. Sour. Pleasantly so. Your mouth waters instantly. Your body reacts before your thoughts do, recognizing something useful, safe, beneficial. You smile softly. Fermentation has been at work. You sit back on your heels, holding the bundle closer to the firelight, watching tiny bubbles cling to the surface. Gas released by invisible helpers, wild yeasts, bacteria carried on skins, leaves, air. No one can see them, but everyone benefits from what they do. You realize this isn't spoilage. It's transformation. Someone else notices your expression and comes closer. You exchange a look. No words. They smell it too. Nod. This is good. This is known. Fermented food lasts longer. It becomes safer, easier to digest, sometimes even more nutritious. The body learns to crave it, especially when fresh food becomes scarce. You scoop a small portion onto a flat stone and warm it gently near the embers, not to cook, just to take the chill off. Heat would kill the process. Fermentation prefers gentleness. Balance again. You taste it properly now. Sourness spreads across your tongue, followed by a subtle sweetness. The flavor is deeper than before, more complex. It lingers. Your stomach responds with a pleasant warmth. This food doesn't sit heavy. It settles. Children are offered a tiny taste. Elders too. Everyone reacts similarly, raised eyebrows, small smiles, quiet approval. Fermented foods are shared carefully at first. The body needs time to adapt. Respect matters. Nearby, someone checks a skin pouch hanging from a beam. Inside, strips of meat stored days earlier have changed slightly. Not spoiled, just tangier, drier, more concentrated. Fermentation and drying working together. Preservation layered upon preservation. You inhale deeply. The air here smells faintly sharp now, mixed with smoke and herbs. This scent becomes familiar, comforting. It signals safety. It tells the body that food will last. Fermentation teaches a different kind of patience. You don't force it. You don't rush it. You create conditions, cool shade, clean containers, time, and then you wait. The waiting happens while life continues, while fires burn, while people sleep, while days pass. You watch someone stir a small pot of soaked grains that have begun to fizz quietly. The sound is almost imperceptible, a faint whisper of bubbles. This will become a sour porridge, filling, long-lasting, good for digestion, especially for those whose teeth are worn or whose stomachs struggle with raw starch. You kneel beside them, breathing in the smell, sharp but not unpleasant, alive. This is food with memory. Fermentation also changes mood. You notice conversations growing lighter as fermented foods are eaten. There's a subtle lift, a warmth behind the eyes. Not intoxication. Nothing dangerous, but a gentle ease. The body relaxes when digestion becomes effortless. You take another small bite and feel it settle comfortably. No heaviness, no strain, just warmth. Someone adds crushed herbs to the fermented mixture, not to stop it, but to guide it. Certain plants encourage beneficial growth. Others slow it down. Knowledge again. Passed hand to hand. Generation to generation. Without written words. You think about how this discovery must have felt the first time. Food left behind. Forgotten. Nearly discarded. Then tasted cautiously. Then trusted. Then repeated. Accidents become traditions when they work. Fermentation expands time. It allows food gathered in abundance to be eaten later. When the land gives less, it smooths out scarcity. It turns seasons into cycles rather than threats. You watch as fermented berries are mixed with fat and stored in a skin pouch. This will keep for weeks, maybe months. Energy preserved in a form that doesn't spoil easily. Wealth without currency. You help tie the pouch closed, fingers moving deftly. The hide is soft from use, warm from hands. You hang it in the shaded corner, away from heat, away from light. Conditions matter. As evening deepens, the fire burns low again. Fermented foods are eaten in small portions, never rushed. They're not the main event. They're the quiet support act that makes everything else easier. You notice your body responding differently now. Less hunger, more steadiness. Your mind feels clear, calm. Fermentation feeds more than muscles. Outside, the night air cools further. Inside, warmth and scent hold steady. The shelter feels lived in, layered with time and effort and invisible processes working quietly, even as people rest. You sit back against the stone wall, pulling a fur closer around your shoulders. The texture is familiar, comforting. Your stomach is full, but light. Your breathing is slow. Fermentation continues while you sleep. In the shadows, in the corners, in sealed pouches and forgotten bowls. It works when humans don't. That's its gift. You realize something profound as your eyelids grow heavy. Humans didn't just learn to cook food. They learned to collaborate with time itself, to let nature finish what effort began, to trust invisible allies, to accept that not all preparation requires action, some of it requires restraint. Take a slow breath. Taste the faint tang still lingering on your tongue. Feel the calm in your gut. This is how humans learned to let food wait, and how waiting, sometimes, becomes the most powerful tool of all. Morning doesn't arrive with sunlight first. It arrives with awareness. Your eyes open slowly, not because something wakes you, but because your body decides it's ready. The fire has burned down to a quiet bed of ash and faintly glowing embers. The shelter is cool now, the kind of cool that feels clean rather than uncomfortable. You breathe in and smell yesterday's smoke, herbs, fur, stone, and something else underneath it all. Preservation. Food prepared yesterday is still here today. That's the difference. That's the victory. You sit up, brushing a hand through your hair, fingers catching briefly on smoke-scented strands. Your stomach is calm, not urgent. That's important. Panic hunger doesn't allow planning. Preserved food gives the mind space. You rise and walk softly so you don't wake everyone else. Stone is cool under your feet. You pause near the hearth and press your palm against a stone that was heated last night. Still warm. Barely. Heat stored and released slowly. Nothing here is rushed. You move toward the storage area, the shaded niche carved naturally into the rock wall. This is where yesterday's work waits. Strips of meat hang from sinew cords, darkened now, edges firm. Smoke has kissed them evenly. You touch one gently, dry on the outside, flexible in the center. Perfect. This will last. Days, weeks, maybe longer if needed. Preservation isn't dramatic, it's quiet reassurance. You lower one strip and sniff it. Smoky, savory, clean. You tear off a small piece and chew slowly, tougher than fresh meat, but satisfying. It releases flavor gradually, asking for patience. This is food for journeys, for waiting, for lean times. Nearby, bundles of roots wrapped in leaves sit tucked into cool shadow. You open one carefully. The roots are firm, dry on the surface, soft inside. You break one open and taste. Still sweet, still nourishing. Cooking yesterday extended today. You notice small differences in how foods are stored. Some are closer to the fire, some farther away, some higher, some sealed tightly. Each placement is intentional. Heat, air, moisture. These are the real ingredients of preservation. You watch someone else wake and join you. They nod, reaching for a skin pouch filled with roasted seeds. The pouch is supple, stained with oil. They pour a handful into their palm and eat them slowly, one at a time. Crunch. Pause. Crunch. Seeds keep well when dry. They were designed to wait. Preserved food changes how a day begins. Instead of rushing out to gather immediately, you can sit, think, plan. Someone tends the fire calmly, adding a single piece of wood. Another checks the weather by stepping outside briefly. No one is frantic. You sit on a low stone and use a sharp flake to slice preserved meat into thin pieces. Thin keeps it from straining the jaw. You lay it out near the fire to warm slightly. Cold food shocks the body in the morning. Warmth is kindness. You sprinkle crushed herbs over it not for preservation now, but for comfort. Smell wakes the appetite gently. The aroma rises, familiar and reassuring. Preservation also includes rotation. You notice someone moving older food forward, placing fresher items behind. The oldest gets eaten first. Waste is prevented not by abundance, but by attention. A child wakes and wanders over, rubbing sleep from their eyes. You offer them a softened piece of root, warmed near the embers. They take it without hesitation, sweet, easy to chew. You watch their shoulders relax as they eat. Children and elders benefit most from preserved foods. Softness matters. Outside, the wind shifts. You hear it before you feel it, leaves rustling, grasses bending. Weather influences preservation. Smoke thickens when air is damp. Dry days are better for drying meat. Knowledge adjusts daily. You step outside briefly. The sky is pale, clouded, humidity in the air. Today is not ideal for drying. You'll favor smoked and stored foods instead. Decisions made quietly, without discussion. Everyone notices the same things. Back inside, someone stirs yesterday's fermented mixture. The surface bubbles faintly, alive. It's fed a little more crushed grain and water. Fermentation is preservation through care. Neglect ruins it. Attention sustains it. You sip a small amount, tangy, refreshing. Your gut wakes gently. Fermented foods protect health when fresh plants are scarce. The body learns to trust them. Preservation also means protection. You watch as someone reinforces a hanging rack, tightening sinew knots. Animals smell stored food from far away. Security matters. Food lost is effort lost. The animal companion sits alert near the entrance, ears twitching. Guarding is shared work. Food security isn't just storage, it's vigilance. You take a moment to sit again, leaning against stone. Your back warms slowly. You feel grounded, calm. This feeling comes from knowing you won't starve today, even if nothing new is gathered. Preservation buys time. It allows injuries to heal, weather to pass, minds to plan rather than react. You think about how different this feels from a world without storage, a world where every day begins with urgency. Preservation softens life's edges. You help prepare a small travel bundle: dried meat, roasted seeds, a compact root cake wrapped in leaves. This will be carried later, maybe on a scouting walk, maybe on a longer journey. Portable calories are power. As you tie the bundle, you notice how little space it takes, how much energy it holds. Preservation compresses effort into something manageable. The fire is banked again, kept low. No cooking rush today. Preservation did its job. You hear laughter now as more people wake. Morning energy is steady, not frantic. Conversations begin without tension. This is what stored food does. It creates emotional stability. You chew another piece of dried meat, savoring its toughness. It asks you to slow down, to be present, to work your jaw, your breath. Even preserved food teaches patience. Outside, the day opens fully. Light filters into the shelter. Dust motes drift. Smoke curls lazily upward. Inside, everything is in its place. You realize something important as you sit there. Preservation is not about fear of scarcity. It's about trust in the future. It's about believing that tomorrow exists and that you'll be there to meet it. Take a slow breath. Feel the steadiness in your body, the quiet confidence in your chest. Yesterday's work is feeding you today, and that changes everything. The meal doesn't end when the food does. You notice this as you sit back, hands warm, fingers faintly greasy despite careful wiping. The fire crackles softly, a low conversational sound, and even though bellies are full, no one moves away yet. Plates, stones, hides, bark bowls remain where they are. This is the part that matters just as much as preparation. Sharing is not an afterthought, it's the point. You glance around the shelter and see how food has quietly rearranged everyone. People sit closer now, knees nearly touching, shoulders brushing without apology. The firelight pulls faces inward, smoothing sharp edges, softening expressions. Hunger isolates, eating together reconnects. You tear a final piece of flat cake in half and pass one piece without looking. It's taken just as casually. No thanks spoken. Gratitude lives in the absence of tension, in the assumption that sharing is normal. Notice how no one hoards. Even the most prized food's marrow, sweetened paste, fermented berries were passed first to those who needed them most: elders, children, the injured. Strength here is measured by how well the group survives, not by who eats best. You watch an elder chew slowly, eyes half-lidded, savoring warmth. Someone sits beside them, adjusting a fur around their shoulders. Food enables care. Care builds trust. Trust keeps people alive longer than muscle ever could. The fire shifts slightly as a log settles. Sparks lift, then vanish. Someone laughs quietly at the timing. Even the fire feels like part of the group now, an elder of its own kind. Temperamental, but generous when respected. You reach for a warm drink again, sipping slowly. Liquid travels easily from bowl to mouth to belly. Hydration and warmth spread together. You feel it in your chest, loosening something that's been tight all day. Conversation emerges naturally, not forced. Someone gestures with a stick, reenacting a moment from earlier, the way a root snapped unexpectedly, or how a berry stain now marks their clothing. Laughter ripples outward, soft but genuine. Humor here isn't loud. It's a release valve. Food preparation becomes story fuel. You realize how much knowledge is shared this way. Techniques are embedded in anecdotes, warnings tucked into jokes, lessons disguised as entertainment. Remember the time we burned the seeds, someone says, smiling. Everyone remembers. No one burns seeds again. A child interrupts, asking why the soup tasted sour yesterday. Someone explains fermentation with a shrug and a grin. The food is alive, just slower than us. The child nods solemnly, satisfied. Learning happens in these moments, unpressured and lasting. You notice how the animal companion shifts positions when scraps are handed out. It doesn't beg, it waits. Partnership here is based on pattern, not commands. You toss a small piece its way. It catches it cleanly and settles again. Another quiet agreement honored. Sharing also means listening. As the fire burns lower, voices drop. Someone mentions a distant place they once traveled to, where roots grew larger, but meat was scarce. Others listen closely. Travel knowledge matters. Food landscapes shape movement. Memory maps are drawn around meals. You find yourself leaning forward, elbows on knees, absorbed. The stone beneath you is warm now, heat stored and slowly released. Your body relaxes into it. You feel supported from below and surrounded from all sides. This is where food preparation completes itself. Not in the eating, but in the bonding. You notice subtle cues, how portions are adjusted without discussion, how someone quietly sets aside food for a person who stepped away, how the last pieces are divided evenly without counting. Social mathematics learned through necessity. Sharing reduces risk. If one person fails tomorrow, injured, ill, unlucky, the group absorbs the shock. Food shared tonight builds obligation for tomorrow. This is insurance older than language. You feel it emotionally too. A sense of belonging settles in your chest, warm and steady. Not excitement, Not pride, something deeper, security. Someone begins humming again, that low, steady tone you heard earlier. Others join in softly, not in unison, but in harmony. The sound blends with the crackle of embers and the night insects outside. You feel it vibrate gently through the stone beneath you. You close your eyes briefly. When you open them, firelight flickers across familiar faces. You realize how faces look different after eating. Muscles relax, brows smooth, eyes soften. Food changes expressions more reliably than words. Sharing also creates rhythm. There's a natural sequence now. Eat, talk, clean, settle. No one rushes the transition. Tools are wiped slowly, bones stacked neatly, ash spread carefully. The act of tidying together reinforces cooperation. No one is above cleanup. You help gather bowls and hides, stacking them in their usual places. Familiarity breeds efficiency. The shelter returns gradually to its resting state. Nothing abrupt. As the fire dims further, people begin to stretch, reposition, lean back. Children yawn openly. Elders shift closer to warmth. Furs are redistributed. Someone adjusts the entrance covering again, blocking a draft. The group contracts, physically and emotionally. You realize how sharing food prepares people for sleep just as much as it prepares them for survival. Full stomachs, quiet, anxious minds. Warmth encourages rest. Conversation fades naturally, replaced by comfortable silence. You sit quietly, listening. Wind moves outside. A distant animal calls. Inside, breathing slows, sinks. The animal companion curls tighter. The fire glows softly, no longer demanding attention. You think about how this sharing would look strange to a world obsessed with efficiency and ownership. And yet, this is efficiency. This is how resources stretch further, how stress decreases, how people last longer. Sharing food here isn't generosity. It's strategy. It's emotional regulation. It's cultural glue. You feel the day's effort settle fully into your body now. Muscles warm, belly content, mind quiet. There's nothing left to decide tonight. Take a slow breath. Notice the space between people shrinking, the way warmth pools in the center of the shelter, the way silence feels safe rather than empty. This is what the meal was really for. Not just nourishment, connection. And as the fire's glow softens into embers, you understand something ancient and enduring. Humans don't survive because they eat. They survive because they eat together. You notice the shift in texture before anything else. It's subtle, but once you feel it, you can't unfeel it. Hands move differently now, slower, more deliberate. Food preparation changes shape when children and elders become the focus. Strength steps back. Gentleness steps forward. You sit near the fire with a shallow stone bowl resting on your knees. Inside, a thick mash of roots, seeds, and broth steams softly. You stir it slowly with a smooth stick, feeling resistance give way as the mixture warms evenly. This food isn't meant to impress. It's meant to go down easily. It's meant to comfort. You bring the bowl closer to the embers, careful not to let it boil. Boiling toughens. Simmering softens. Everything about this meal is about ease. An elder sits nearby, wrapped in layers of fur and woven fiber, linen closest to skin, wool-like hair next. fur on the outside. Layering traps warmth and allows adjustment. You notice how their hands tremble slightly as they reach forward. Not weakness, just time. You scoop a small portion onto a flat piece of bark and blow gently before offering it. Steam rises and fades. The smell is mild, inviting, earthy without sharpness. The elder takes it slowly, nodding once. Approval, gratitude without ceremony. Children gather too, curious and restless in equal measure. You adjust the mixture again, adding more broth, thinning it slightly. Children don't need density. They need warmth and energy without strain. You crush a roasted seed between your fingers and sprinkle the powder in. Fat and starch in balance. Notice how careful everyone is now. No sudden movements. No loud laughter. Even the fire seems quieter, embers glowing steadily rather than flaring. The atmosphere softens, as if the shelter itself understands the shift. You hand a child a small bowl. They cradle it with both hands, fingers wrapping around warmth. They sip cautiously, eyes wide, then grin when sweetness appears unexpectedly. You smile back. Food for children carries memory. These flavors will become safety later in life. You watch how elders and children eat differently. Children pause often, distracted, then return eagerly. Elders chew slowly, eyes closed sometimes, savoring texture rather than flavor. You learn from both. Food preparation adapts to the eater, not the other way around. Someone brings over a bundle of fermented paste and mixes a tiny amount into the mash, just enough to add tang, to help digestion. Elders benefit most from this. You stir carefully, ensuring even distribution. Precision matters when bodies are fragile. The animal companion senses the change too. It lies still, watchful but calm, as if understanding this is not a time for excitement. Respect ripples outward. You adjust seating subtly, elders closer to heat, children slightly farther back where movement is easier. Microclimate creation again, but this time for people rather than food. The stone floor beneath you radiates stored warmth. You feel it through your legs, steady and reassuring. Someone drapes a fur across an elder's knees. Another adjusts a child's hood. These gestures are automatic, learned through repetition. Food becomes care. You prepare another bowl, this one thicker, for someone whose teeth are worn down from years of chewing dried meat. You mash roots thoroughly, pressing them against the stone with slow circles. The sound is soft, almost soothing. The mixture becomes smooth, cohesive, easy. You add a drizzle of rendered fat. It melts instantly, disappearing into the mash. Fat carries calories and flavor. But more importantly, it lubricates. It makes swallowing comfortable. Small details matter. As bowls are passed, you notice how conversation fades into quiet. Not silence, just reduced volume. Voices drop. Breathing slows. Eating like this encourages rest. Children begin to yawn openly now, heads tilting, eyes rubbing. You take note. Timing matters. Heavy foods too late disrupt sleep. Soft foods ease it. This meal is as much about bedtime as nourishment. You think about how food preparation here anticipates need rather than reacting to it. No one waits until someone struggles. Adaptation happens before discomfort appears. That's survival refined into kindness. Someone brings a warm drink made from herbs and softened roots, lightly sweetened. You offer it to an elder first, then to children in smaller portions. Warm liquids soothe throats, ease digestion, invite sleep. The shelter smells different now. Less smoke, more warmth, a faint sweetness layered with herbs. This is the scent of winding down. You watch as an elder finishes their bowl and rests it aside. They lean back against stone, eyes closing briefly. A moment of peace earned through preparation. Children curl closer to caregivers. Bowls emptied, fingers sticky with mash. No one scolds. Cleanliness comes later. Comfort comes first. You help wipe hands gently with warm water and ash, careful not to chill small fingers. The texture is gritty but effective, hygiene without harshness. As the fire dims further, you rearrange embers to maintain gentle heat. No more cooking tonight, just warmth. The hearth shifts roles easily, from tool to guardian. You feel something soften in your chest as you watch this scene. Food preparation for children and elders isn't about efficiency or yield. It's about continuity. It's about making sure knowledge, stories, and care survive long enough to be passed on. You realize how much of human evolution depends on this adaptability, the ability to change texture, timing, and focus based on who is eating, the ability to slow down when speed isn't helpful. This is where culture hides in the small decisions made quietly, consistently, without applause. You stretch your legs and settle back, letting the stone support you. Your own belly is comfortably full, but light. You feel grounded, steady. There's no urge to move, to do more. Everything essential has been handled. Children begin to drift towards sleep. Heads heavy, breaths deepening. Elders remain awake a little longer, eyes reflecting firelight, watching the group with a calm, knowing gaze. You meet one such gaze and feel a flicker of understanding pass between you. This work matters. This is how people last. Take a slow breath. Notice the warmth pooling low in the shelter, the soft sounds of settling bodies, the way food has transformed effort into peace. This is how humans care for time itself, by feeding those who carry the past and those who are the future. You notice the scent before you notice the action. It drifts through the shelter in a thin, steady line, sharp, green, faintly sweet. Not food exactly. Something else. Something quieter. You inhale slowly and feel it clear your chest. Open your breath. Herbs are entering the evening. This is where preparation crosses gently into medicine. You kneel near a small pile of bundled plants set aside earlier. Their leaves are long and narrow, edges slightly curled from drying. Rosemary-like. Mint-adjacent. You rub one between your fingers and release its oils. The scent blooms instantly, cutting through smoke and warmth with clean clarity. You bring your fingers to your nose and breathe in. Notice how your body responds. A subtle lift behind the eyes, a softening in the jaw. Herbs speak directly to the nervous system, bypassing thought. Long before words like antiseptic or sedative, bodies learned which plants made breathing easier, sleep deeper, wounds cleaner. You sit near the fire and lay several herb bundles on a flat stone, not directly overheat, just close enough to warm them. Oils release slowly this way, without burning. The scent thickens, wrapping the shelter in something almost ceremonial. Someone coughs lightly across the space. Without comment, a warm bowl of herb-infused liquid is passed their way. No diagnosis, No explanation, just response. You watch as herbs are added to a small pot of warm water, not boiling, never boiling. Boiling strips gentleness away. Warm infusion draws out what's needed without aggression. You stir slowly, clockwise, then counterclockwise. Balance matters even here. The liquid turns pale green, then golden. You taste a drop, bitter at first, then cooling. Your throat relaxes immediately. You swallow again, deliberately. This isn't about curing disease. It's about nudging the body back toward balance. You notice small rituals unfolding. Someone ties a sprig of herbs above the sleeping area, near where warm air gathers. Insects dislike the scent. Sleep improves when you're not buzzing with irritation. Someone else tucks a bundle beneath bedding, releasing aroma slowly through the night. Herbs create invisible boundaries against bugs, against illness, against restless thoughts. You prepare a salve now, mixing rendered fat with crushed leaves and ash. The texture becomes smooth, slightly gritty. This will be used on cracked skin, small burns, sore joints. You rub a bit between your fingers. It melts easily, releasing scent and warmth. You apply a small amount to your own hands, massaging slowly. Heat from friction activates the oils. Your skin drinks it in. The dryness from ash and fire softens. Comfort returns. Notice how slow this feels. Nothing urgent, nothing dramatic. Medicine here is preventative, not reactive. It lives in daily habits: what you smell, what you touch, what you consume in small amounts. Someone brings over a child with a scraped knee. The wound is shallow but tender. You clean it gently with warm water and ash. Then apply a thin layer of the herbal salve. The child watches intently, wide-eyed but calm. You explain nothing. The process itself reassures. They sniff the air and smile. Scent becomes memory. Later in life, this smell will mean safety. You also notice herbs being burned lightly, not for heat, but for smoke. Thin tendrils curl upward, carrying compounds that disinfect the air and mask food scents from predators. Smoke isn't just a byproduct, it's a tool. The shelter smells layered, now smoke, herbs, warm stone, fur. This combination signals night, safety, rest. The body responds by slowing down. You sit back, breathing evenly, letting the scent settle into you. Your thoughts soften, sharp edges dull. This is the part of preparation that modern life forgets: the preparation of the mind. Herbs are added to food too, but not heavily. A pinch here, a leaf there. Enough to aid digestion, calm the stomach, prevent bloating. You notice how people eat less now, but feel more satisfied. Comfort reduces appetite. Someone passes you a small bundle tied with fiber. Inside are dried leaves meant to be chewed slowly or brewed later. Travel medicine, sleep medicine, stress medicine. Knowledge compacted into portable form. You turn it over in your hands, feeling its lightness. Small things carry enormous weight when they work. You think about how much trial and error lives in these choices. How many plants were tested, how many mistakes were made, how much suffering was quietly endured so that later generations could breathe easier, sleep deeper, heal faster. And yet, none of that suffering is celebrated here. Only the result remains: rituals refined into calm efficiency. You notice elders breathing more easily as herb smoke fills the shelter. Chests rise and fall evenly, coughs quiet. Children grow drowsier, eyelids heavy. Herbs don't knock you out. They invite you down. As the fire dims further, herb bundles are moved away from heat, set to smolder slowly. The pace of the night is set. Nothing new will be introduced. No surprises. You adjust your own bedding slightly, pulling fur closer around your shoulders. The scent follows you, clinging to fibers. You'll smell it in your hair tomorrow. This is intentional. It carries calm forward in time. Someone hums softly again, the sound lower now, slower. The herbs seem to absorb it, smoothing the vibration. You realize how much survival depends on sleep. Strong bodies break without rest. Sharp minds dull. Herbs protect sleep the way fire protects food. Quietly, reliably, you take one last sip of warm herb-infused liquid. The bitterness is gentler now. Familiar. Comforting. You feel it settle in your stomach, then spread outward. Take a slow breath. Notice how your chest opens more fully, how your jaw unclenches, how your thoughts slow and stretch. This is food preparation's quieter sibling, the preparation of the body to recover, repair, and dream. Without herbs, survival is loud and brittle. With them, it becomes sustainable. And as the scent wraps the shelter in calm, you understand something deeply human. We didn't just learn how to eat. We learned how to heal one leaf, one breath, one quiet night at a time. You notice cleanliness not because it's announced, but because nothing feels wrong. There's no sour smell lingering in the shelter, no sticky residue on your hands, no unease in your stomach after eating. Cleanliness here isn't sterile or obsessive, it's quiet, habitual, woven into every movement so seamlessly that it feels like instinct. You watch someone rinse a stone blade in warm water, rubbing it gently with ash before setting it aside. The motion is slow, practiced. Ash clings briefly, then washes away, taking grease and bacteria with it. No soap, no chemicals, just fire's leftovers doing another job. You rub your own hands together, noticing how clean they feel despite the work they've done. Slightly dry, faintly mineral-scented. Smoke and ash have a way of stripping away what doesn't belong. You rinse them again, letting water run between your fingers, feeling grit dissolve. Clean hands mean fewer stomach pains, fewer infections, fewer nights awake with fever. Nobody calls it hygiene. They call it normal. You crouch near the hearth as bones are stacked neatly and tools are laid out to cool. Nothing is left in a heap. Disorder attracts animals. Disorder attracts illness. Order here is protective, not aesthetic. Someone sweeps the floor gently using bundled twigs, pushing crumbs and ash toward the fire. The debris disappears into embers, flaring briefly before becoming ash again. The cycle closes. Food becomes fuel. Fuel becomes cleaner. You notice how food preparation spaces are separated without walls. Raw meat is handled in one area, cooked food in another. Storage is higher, away from feet and animals. Waste is burned or buried outside. These boundaries exist because sickness taught them. Pain refined them. You step outside briefly with a small bundle of scraps destined for burial. The night air is cool, crisp against your skin. Stars scatter across the sky. You dig a shallow pit using a flat stone and cover the scraps carefully with earth. Smell contained. Animals deterred. Tomorrow's ground enriched. You press the soil flat with your palm and stand, brushing dirt from your hands. Outside, cleanliness matters too. The land remembers how you treat it. Back inside, you notice someone rinsing bowls with warm water saved from stone boiling earlier. Water is precious, but illness is more costly. The bowls are wiped dry with cloth, then placed upside down to keep dust and insects out. Small choices, big impact. You help by wiping a flat stone surface where food was prepared earlier. Ash paste scrubs away residue. The stone looks unchanged, but you know better. Clean stone means tomorrow's meal starts safely. The animal companion licks its paws near the entrance. Even it avoids sleeping where scraps were handled. Patterns reinforce themselves across species. You sit down and feel how calm your body is. No heaviness, no discomfort. Clean preparation prevents the invisible stress that follows bad meals. The body relaxes when it trusts what it's been given. You notice herbs placed strategically again, not just for scent, but for protection. Certain leaves repel insects. Others discourage mold. Bundles hang near storage areas, releasing compounds slowly over time. Clean air matters. Smoke, too, plays a role. A thin layer lingers near the ceiling, disinfecting the space. Not choking, not thick, just enough. Balance again. Someone checks the hanging meat one last time, brushing away a curious insect before it settles. Vigilance never sleeps fully. Cleanliness here is active, not passive. You remember how earlier, Ash was used to clean hands before handling food, how tools were wiped between tasks, how water was warmed rather than reused carelessly. None of it dramatic, all of it consistent. Cleanliness isn't about fear here. It's about respect. Respect for the body, for the group, for the effort that went into gathering and preparing food. Wasting that effort through carelessness would be unthinkable. You think about how many lessons are embedded in habit, how a child watching these motions will absorb them without instruction, how cleanliness becomes part of identity rather than a rule. The fire is banked now, embers glowing softly. Ash spreads evenly across the hearth, sealing heat in and sparks out. Even the fire is cleaned before sleep. You rinse your hands one final time and rub them together slowly, feeling warmth return. Your skin smells faintly of ash and herbs. Clean. Familiar. You settle onto your bedding and pull furs closer. The floor beneath you is swept. No sharp stones, no debris. Comfort and safety start at ground level. Outside, the wind shifts again, carrying new scents, cool grass, distant water. Inside, the shelter remains neutral, balanced. Cleanliness creates this contrast, a controlled interior against a wild exterior. You realize something quietly powerful. Cleanliness here is not about perfection. It's about reducing friction. Less friction in digestion, less friction in movement, less friction in sleep. Every small reduction compounds over time, allowing humans to live longer, think clearer, care deeper. You close your eyes briefly and listen. The fire breathes softly. Someone turns in their sleep. The animal companion sighs. The shelter feels settled, like everything has returned to its proper place. Take a slow breath. Notice how safe your stomach feels, how your hands rest without itch or stickiness, how your mind doesn't scan for problems. This is what cleanliness gives you, not just health, but peace. And long before words like germs or sanitation, humans learned this truth with their bodies. Food doesn't just need to be prepared. It needs to be respected before, during, and after it's eaten. That respect is what lets the night pass quietly. You feel the weather before anyone names it. It presses gently against the shelter, a change in the way air moves, the way sound travels. The wind outside carries more moisture now, heavier, slower. It rattles leaves differently, less sharply. Your skin notices first, tightening slightly as humidity settles in. Weather shapes food long before hunger does. You rise quietly and step toward the entrance, lifting the hide just enough to peer out. The night sky is clouded, stars blurred behind a thin veil. Rain is coming, not urgently, not violently, just enough to change plans. You let the hide fall back into place and return to the hearth. No announcement needed. Others have felt it too. Someone shifts the hanging meat farther from the opening. Another nudges a bundle of roots deeper into shadow. Adjustments ripple through the shelter, silent and coordinated. Rain changes everything. Drying meat becomes risky. Smoke thickens when air is damp. Fire struggles to breathe. Food choices respond immediately. Tonight, preserved foods are favored. Stews and warm mash replace open roasting. Adaptation is automatic. You crouch near the fire and spread embers slightly, coaxing steady heat rather than flame. Wet air steals warmth quickly. Embers fight back more efficiently. You add a thicker log, dense and slow burning, chosen specifically for nights like this. The fire responds with a deeper glow. You feel the temperature shift along the floor. Warmth pools closer now, hugging stone and earth. You reposition your bedding slightly, closer to the center. Microclimates shift with weather. Comfort follows attention. Someone brings over a pouch of dried seeds and pours a small amount into a bowl. Seeds tolerate moisture better than meat. They're roasted gently, stirred constantly. The sound is dry and comforting, a reminder of stability. You notice how food preparation narrows on nights like this. Fewer options, more reliability, roots, seeds, fermented foods. The menu simplifies, not because creativity is gone, but because predictability matters when conditions change. Outside, the first drops fall. You hear them strike leaves, then stone, then the hide at the shelter's entrance. The sound is soft, rhythmic. The shelter holds. That matters. Dry food stays dry because shelter was chosen well long before the rain arrived. You prepare a thick mash again, this time richer, heavier, cold. Damp nights demand density. You add more fat, stirring slowly until it disappears into the mixture. Calories are insulation. Steam rises as the mash warms, fogging the air briefly. Moisture inside increases, but the fire counters it. Balance again. Someone checks the storage area, ensuring nothing touches the stone walls where condensation forms. Dampness breeds mold. Small lifts sticks under bundles. Hides adjusted, keep air circulating. Preservation adapts minute by minute. You think about how much of food preparation is actually weather management. What you eat depends on what you can keep safe. On dry days, you roast and dry. On wet days, you boil and store. On cold days, you favor fat and starch. On hot days, lighter foods, more water. The menu is a mirror of the sky. You ladle mash into bowls and pass them around. People accept them without comment. No disappointment. Expectations here are flexible. Flexibility is survival. Rain intensifies slightly, drumming on the hide. The sound deepens the shelter's warmth. You pull a fur closer around your shoulders and feel the contrast cool air on your face. Warmth everywhere else. Comfort amplified by contrast. You sip a warm drink infused with herbs chosen specifically for damp nights. They help the body process moisture, keep joints from stiffening. Knowledge responds to climate. The animal companion curls tighter, tail wrapped around nose. Its body heat adds to the collective warmth. Shared strategies cross species lines. Someone banks the fire further, pushing embers inward. Less smoke escapes now. The shelter fills with a faint haze, just enough to deter insects that seek refuge from rain. Smoke adapts too. You listen to the rain and feel how it slows everything. Movements become heavier, more deliberate. Conversation drops to murmurs. The night draws inward. Weather also affects tomorrow. You notice someone setting aside extra preserved food, anticipating that gathering may be difficult in the morning. Mud slows movement. Wet plants spoil faster. Planning happens now, while conditions are known. You help prepare travel bundles even if no travel is planned. Readiness calms the mind. Food prepared in advance reduces anxiety when weather turns unpredictable. Rainwater begins to collect in shallow stone depressions outside. Tomorrow, it will be gathered. Clean water follows rain, but only if you're ready to receive it. Containers are placed accordingly. You realize how weather teaches humility. You don't fight it. You don't curse it. You respond. Food preparation becomes a dialogue with the sky, a negotiation rather than a command. Inside, the shelter feels secure. Stone absorbs the rain's chill slowly. Fire counters it patiently. People settle closer together without crowding. Warmth redistributes. You take another bite of mash. It tastes richer tonight, deeper. Hunger feels different when rain falls. The body seeks reassurance. Dense food provides it. Someone smiles quietly, commenting on the sound of rain. It's soothing now, not threatening. That's what preparation does. It transforms potential danger into background music. You close your eyes briefly and listen. Rain, fire, breathing, all steady. You think about how many nights like this shaped human behavior. How menus evolved not from preference, but from necessity. How recipes are really climate responses passed down as tradition. The rain begins to ease, softening into a gentle patter. The shelter remains warm. Food remains safe. Plans remain flexible. You feel a deep sense of trust settle in your chest, not just in the group, but in the systems you've built together. Fire, storage, shelter, knowledge. Weather becomes one variable among many, not a master. Take a slow breath. Notice how the sound of rain blends with the crackle of embers, how warmth holds despite damp air, how food in your belly feels especially comforting tonight. This is how humans learned to eat with the weather, not against it, to let the sky write the menu, and to sleep peacefully, knowing that whatever comes next, you're already adapting. You notice it when you reach for flavor and don't reach for anything at all. There is no small bowl of crystals, no pinch between fingers, no sharp mineral bite waiting at the edge of the tongue. And yet, As you take another slow bite, the food doesn't feel unfinished. It feels complete. This is taste without salt. You chew deliberately, paying attention now. Meat roasted earlier still carries depth smoke layered into fat, heat transformed into savoriness. Roots offer sweetness that unfolds slowly, not sugary, but grounding. Seeds add nuttiness. Herbs contribute brightness, bitterness, cooling notes. Nothing shouts. Everything speaks in turn. You realize salt isn't missing. It's simply not in charge. You sit closer to the fire, warmth brushing your shins, and take another bite of root mash. You notice how long the flavor lingers. Without salt demanding attention, the tongue explores texture and temperature more carefully. The food asks you to slow down. Your body adjusts quickly. Salt is useful. Yes, especially in hot climates, during long exertion, but humans existed for thousands of years without steady access to it. Taste evolved around what was available. What mattered was balance, not intensity. You take a sip of warm liquid and notice something subtle. The minerals from stone boiling have added faint salinity, not enough to taste as salt, but enough to satisfy something deep in your body. Water remembers the stone it touched. You breathe out slowly. Someone nearby crushes dried herbs between palms and sprinkles them lightly over food. Not much. Just enough to release aroma. Smell does half the work of taste. You inhale before you bite, and your brain fills in richness before your tongue confirms it. You realize this is intentional. Flavor here begins in the nose. Smoke, especially, does heavy lifting. It clings to surfaces, penetrates fat, lingers in the mouth. Smoke creates umami without sodium. It tricks the body into satisfaction through complexity rather than sharpness. You chew a piece of dried meat again, slower this time. The toughness forces patience. As you work your jaw, flavors release gradually. Iron, fat, smoke. Time itself feels like an ingredient. Salt would rush this. Without it, eating becomes an experience rather than a hit. You notice how herbs are chosen not just for smell, but for mouthfeel. Mint-like leaves cool the tongue. Bitter greens stimulate saliva. Resinous herbs coat the palate slightly. These sensations replace what salt would normally do, wake up the mouth. You lick your lips absent-mindedly and taste faint ash, faint fat, faint sweetness. The combination is satisfying in a quiet way. No spike, no crash. Children nearby wrinkle their noses at bitterness, then smile as sweetness follows. Their reactions teach timing. Taste unfolds in layers here, not all at once. You think about how modern eating chases intensity, more salt, more sugar, more heat because speed demands it. Here, time is abundant. Taste stretches out to fill it. Someone passes you a small piece of fermented food. You place it on your tongue and let it sit before chewing. Sourness blooms, bright and clean. It sharpens everything that comes after. Fermentation replaces salt's role as contrast. You take another bite of root mash immediately after, and the sweetness feels amplified, not louder, clearer. You nod to yourself. Contrast is more important than salt. You notice how fat plays its role, too. Rendered fat coats the mouth, carrying flavor across the tongue. It adds satisfaction, fullness, and mouthfeel that salt often stands in for. Fat is indulgent here, but measured. You warm your hands over embers and think about how taste connects to survival. Food that tastes good encourages eating enough. Food that overwhelms distracts. Balance keeps bodies attentive. You remember the faint saltiness of sweat earlier, dried on your skin. In times of heavy exertion, people here lick fingers unconsciously, reclaiming minerals lost to work. The body is resourceful. Occasionally, someone brings back naturally salty foods, plants near the sea, mineral-rich clays, dried lake residues, but these are rare, seasonal. Salt becomes special rather than default, a medicine, a trade item, not a crutch. Tonight, there is none, and no one complains. You take another slow bite and realize how calm your eating feels. No urge to reach for more flavor. No dissatisfaction. The food ends when you're done, not when stimulation fades. This teaches restraint without effort. You listen to the quiet sounds around you, chewing, breathing, fire settling. Taste becomes part of atmosphere rather than the main event. You realize something gently profound. Salt-free eating sharpens perception. You notice when food is warm versus hot, soft versus dense, fresh versus stored. Each difference matters. Taste becomes informational rather than addictive. You watch a child dip a finger into mash and lick it thoughtfully. They frown, then nod, learning to read flavor like language. You sip warm liquid again and taste faint bitterness from herbs, faint sweetness from roots. Your throat feels soothed. Your stomach feels steady. Your body feels nourished without agitation. This is what food does when it's allowed to be itself. You think about how rare salt once was, how entire trade routes formed around it later, how it became currency, power, obsession. But here, before that, humans learned to cook without it. And in doing so, they learned something else. They learned patience. They learned to value subtlety. They learned that satisfaction doesn't need intensity. It needs completeness. You lean back slightly, resting against warm stone. The firelight flickers gently. You feel no urge to snack, to chase flavor, to fill a void. There is no void. Taste has done its work. You take a final breath through your nose, inhaling smoke and herbs and warmth. Your mouth relaxes. Your jaw loosens. Eating has ended naturally. This is how humans learn to trust food again. Not to demand it shout, but to let it speak. Take a slow breath. Notice how calm your mouth feels, how satisfied your body is without being overstimulated. This is flavor before excess. This is nourishment without noise. And in this quiet balance, you understand that salt was never the beginning of taste. It was just a shortcut we learned much later. Night settles in fully now, not all at once, but in layers. You feel it first in the fire. The embers draw closer together, their glow softening from orange to a deeper, steadier red. The crackle fades into an occasional sigh as wood shifts and settles. Heat remains, but it's gentler, less insistent, like a hand resting rather than gripping. Your belly is full in the quiet way, the best way. Not stretched, not heavy, just comfortably anchored. Food has finished its work, and now digestion takes over. Slow and methodical, spreading warmth outward from your center. You lean back slightly and notice how your body responds. Shoulders drop, jaw unclenches. Breathing deepens without effort. This is what preparation was for not just eating, But this moment afterward, when the body finally believes it can rest, someone dims the shelter further by adjusting the hide at the entrance, narrowing the opening until only a thin ribbon of moonlight slips through. Shadows soften, edges blur. The shelter becomes a pocket of warmth carved out of the dark. You shift your bedding, pulling dried grasses and fur into a shape that fits your body more precisely. The textures matter now. Grass provides spring, hide adds insulation, fur traps heat, layering again, but this time for sleep. You notice how each material feels against your skin, scratchy here, smooth there, warm everywhere else. Nearby, the animal companion resettles, curling into a tighter ball. Its breathing is slow, rhythmic. You feel the faint vibration of it through the ground. Shared warmth doesn't stop when eating does. The sounds outside have changed. Day insects are gone. Night ones hum in steady pulses. Somewhere farther away, an animal calls low, distant, unconcerned. The shelter answers with silence. No threat, no invitation, just presence. You take a slow breath and notice how the air smells different now. Less smoke, more stone. A lingering trace of herbs woven through everything. The scent tells your body what time it is. Sleep scent, safety scent. Someone adds one last small piece of wood to the fire, not to cook, not even to warm much more, but to ensure the embers last through the deepest part of the night. Fire management at this hour is subtle. Too much, and you wake sweating. Too little, and cold creeps in before dawn. Balance is everything. You lie down fully now, letting your spine sink into the layered bedding. The stone beneath still holds warmth from the day, released slowly upward. Heat from below is different from heat above. It feels grounding, steady, like the earth itself is participating in your rest. Your hands come to rest on your stomach without instruction. You feel gentle movement beneath your palms, digestion continuing its quiet work. This warmth isn't urgent. It's reassuring. Your body knows what to do next. Around you, others settle too. There's no announcement, no command. One by one, bodies find their places. A cough here, a sigh there, the soft rustle of fur being adjusted. These sounds don't disturb you. They anchor you. You notice how conversation fades naturally at this hour. Words become unnecessary. Everything important has already been handled. Food prepared, eaten, shared, stored. The future has been considered. The present is safe. You think briefly about hunger, the sharp, distracting kind, and how far away it feels now. A full belly doesn't just satisfy the body, it reassures the mind. Anxiety loosens its grip when basic needs are met thoroughly. Your breathing sinks gradually with the rhythm of the shelter. Inhale with the fire's glow. Exhale as embers dim. You don't force it. It happens on its own. You turn your head slightly and see firelight reflecting faintly off stone walls, creating slow-moving patterns. Shadows drift, stretch, disappear. There's nothing to interpret here. Just movement. Just light doing what light does when it's allowed to fade. Someone nearby murmurs softly, half words, half sound. Not a conversation, more like a signal of presence. You don't respond, but you register it. You're not alone. You don't need to be. Your eyelids grow heavier, but you don't rush them closed. Falling asleep here isn't an abrupt switch. It's a glide. The body descends gently, guided by warmth, food, familiarity. You notice how your limbs feel. Heavy, but not stiff. Warm, but not restless. The day's work has been absorbed rather than stored as tension. This is what good preparation does. It prevents tomorrow's aches. Outside, the wind brushes the shelter lightly, testing it. The stone and hide hold firm. The sound is muted, distant. You feel protected without feeling trapped. You remember earlier how food was prepared with patience, how nothing was rushed. That same pace carries you now towards sleep. The body mirrors the day it's been given. Your mouth relaxes completely. No lingering taste demands attention. Flavor has faded into memory, leaving behind only comfort. This is another sign it's time to rest. You adjust one last layer, tucking fur under your chin. The texture is familiar, comforting. Your body recognizes it as a boundary. Inside is warm. Outside is not your concern until morning. The fire's glow dims further. Now, mostly memory rather than light. Embers pulse faintly, like a heartbeat you don't need to monitor. You take one slow, deliberate breath. Notice how the ground supports you fully, how nothing presses sharply, how your muscles don't brace against anything. You are allowed to be heavy here. Another breath. Your thoughts begin to loosen their structure. Images drift through without needing explanation. Firelight, steam, hands working. Food passed from one person to another. The day rewinds softly, not as replay, but as reassurance. Full bellies make for gentle dreams. You feel it now, the subtle shift where awareness starts to blur at the edges. Sounds soften. Sensations merge. The shelter feels larger and smaller at the same time, holding you without effort. You don't need to do anything else. Food has been prepared. Warmth has been secured. The night has been negotiated successfully. As sleep approaches, you understand something simple and deeply human. This is why humans learn to cook, not just to eat, but to rest without fear. You let that thought dissolve as your breathing slows further, your body sinking fully into stillness, carried gently by the warmth of a well-fed night. You don't fall asleep all at once. Instead, you drift in and out of a soft awareness, like floating just beneath the surface of water. The shelter breathes around you, stone holding warmth, embers pulsing faintly, night sounds filtering through layers of hide and earth. Somewhere between waking and dreaming, reflection begins. It doesn't feel like thinking. It feels like remembering something you've always known. Your body lies still, but your mind wanders gently back through the day, tracing the arc of preparation from hunger to rest. You remember the weight of the basket against your hip in the morning, the feel of soil under your nails, the patience of fire, the quiet work of time inside fermented food. None of it felt rushed. None of it felt wasted. Food preparation here wasn't just about calories. It was about learning how to live inside uncertainty. You realize how every step carried a lesson, even when no one named it. Foraging taught attention how to read a landscape, how to notice subtle differences in color, scent, texture. Cooking taught patience how waiting improves outcomes, how rushing punishes. Preservation taught trust, how effort invested today protects tomorrow. These lessons aren't abstract. They live in muscle memory, in the way hands move without conscious thought, in the way the body relaxes when routines are reliable. You shift slightly on your bedding, finding a more comfortable position, and feel the ground respond firm, supportive, unyielding in the best way. The earth doesn't move for you. You learn to settle into it instead. That lesson repeats everywhere. You think about how little was spoken today and how much was communicated anyway. Knowledge passed hand to hand, corrections made through demonstration rather than criticism. Food preparation created a shared language that didn't require words. That's resilience, not toughness, not domination. Adaptability, shared quietly. You remember the children watching closely, mimicking movements with seriousness that bordered on reverence. You remember elders receiving softened food, tended without pity, only respect. You remember how everyone ate the same things, just prepared differently, no hierarchy, just adjustment. This is how societies last, not by treating everyone the same, but by feeding everyone according to their needs. Your breathing slows further, but awareness still lingers, warm and diffuse. You hear a distant animal call outside, answered by silence within. No fear rises. The shelter holds. Fire has already done its work. You think about how many nights like this shaped human psychology, how sitting by fire after eating trained the brain to associate warmth, fullness, and safety. How that association still lives inside you now, thousands of years later. How even in a modern bed, with walls and locks and lights, something ancient in you still relaxes most deeply after a warm meal in low light. This isn't nostalgia. It's wiring. You feel a small smile tug at the corner of your mouth as that thought settles. Your ancestors didn't just survive harsh conditions. They engineered comfort where they could find it. They made systems that soothed nerves as much as they fed bodies. Food preparation was one of those systems. You remember the absence of salt not as lack, but as balance. How taste slowed down when intensity stepped back. How satisfaction arrived without excess. How your body felt nourished rather than stimulated. That too is a lesson. More isn't always better. Sometimes enough is perfect. You roll slightly onto your side, pulling a fur closer around your shoulders. The texture is familiar now, almost invisible in its comfort. Your mind drifts to the idea of continuity, how techniques learned in one generation became assumptions in the next, how no one remembered inventing them, only maintaining them. This is how culture works, not through grand declarations, but through repeated care. You think about the weather earlier, how rain adjusted the menu without drama, how flexibility prevented stress, how planning didn't mean control, but readiness. That lesson hums quietly in your chest. Adaptation isn't reactive panic. It's calm responsiveness. Your eyelids flutter, heavier now. Thoughts stretch out, losing their edges. But one more reflection rises gently, asking to be noticed before sleep takes over fully. You realize that food preparation, at its core, is about belief. Belief that tomorrow exists. Belief that effort matters. Belief that the group will still be here when the fire is lit again. Every preserved root, every dried strip of meat, every seed saved instead of eaten immediately, is an act of optimism, quiet, practical optimism, the kind that doesn't announce itself, but builds futures anyway. You feel that optimism settle into you, warm and steady. Your breathing deepens again, slower now, almost imperceptible. The fire is barely glowing. The shelter is mostly shadow. The night has reached its deepest point, and nothing is required of you. You let your thoughts loosen further, slipping from reflection into something softer. Images blur together, hands passing food, steam rising, embers glowing, rain tapping gently on hide. They overlap without needing order. This is memory becoming dream. And as you drift, you understand one final truth, simple and enduring. Humans didn't outlast hardship by being the strongest. They did it by paying attention, by preparing carefully, by sharing consistently, by learning when to act and when to wait. Your body carries that knowledge still. You don't need to hold on to it consciously. It's already part of you. With that, awareness fades completely, and sleep takes you the rest of the way, guided by the quiet confidence of a world that knows how to feed itself. You wake gently, not to sound, but to a feeling. It's the feeling of continuity. The fire is still there, reduced now to a soft constellation of embers, glowing faintly like distant stars fallen to earth. The shelter is quiet, wrapped in the kind of silence that isn't empty, but full of breathing, warmth, and the promise of morning. You haven't opened your eyes yet, but your body already knows where it is. This place has fed you. You lie still for a moment longer, letting that realization settle. Your stomach is calm. Your limbs feel rested. Your mind isn't racing ahead. Nothing urgent presses against your thoughts. That alone tells you something important. The system worked. Food preparation did its job. You open your eyes slowly. Stone walls catch the first hints of pale light filtering in from the shelter's entrance. Shadows retreat reluctantly, stretching as they go. The air smells clean, faint smoke, cooled stone, a whisper of herbs lingering in fibers and hair. Night has passed without incident. That matters. You sit up and stretch, feeling muscles respond easily. No stiffness, no ache. The warmth from last night's food still lingers deep in your core. Sustaining food does that. It carries you forward quietly, without drama. Around you, others begin to stir, not all at once. One shifts, another sighs. The animal companion lifts its head briefly, then settles again. The group wakes like a single organism, gradually, cooperatively. You stand and move toward the hearth, pressing your palm against a stone near the embers. Still warm, heat stored, released slowly. Even the fire understands continuity. As you look around, you notice the evidence of careful preparation everywhere. Food stores intact, dried meat hanging safely, roots tucked into shadow, fermented pouches undisturbed, tools cleaned and resting where they belong, ash spread evenly, nothing chaotic, nothing wasted. This isn't accidental. This is accumulated knowledge made visible. You step outside briefly. Morning air greets you cool, fresh, rinsed clean by last night's rain. The ground smells rich and alive. Plants glisten. Water has collected where it was expected. The land responds well to those who pay attention. You return inside and crouch near the storage area, selecting a small piece of dried meat and a roasted seed cake. Breakfast is simple. It doesn't need ceremony. Food prepared yesterday becomes energy for today. You eat slowly, standing, feeling your body wake fully as nutrients move where they're needed. There's no anxiety about where the next meal will come from. That confidence changes posture, tone, thought. Preparation frees mental space. You think about how far you've come in just a single cycle of day and night, from raw hunger to full bellies, from scattered effort to shared systems, from uncertainty to trust. This is the arc humans have repeated for tens of thousands of years. And then, almost without trying, your thoughts drift forward to your own world. You imagine a modern kitchen for a moment. Smooth counters, bright lights, refrigerators humming quietly, food wrapped in plastic, preserved not by smoke or fermentation, but by electricity and distance, convenient, efficient, and yet you recognize the same principles underneath. Planning meals, choosing ingredients, cooking with attention, sharing food with others, saving leftovers, cleaning up, eating to feel well, not just full. The tools have changed. The knowledge hasn't. When you simmer soup slowly instead of rushing it, when you prep meals ahead of time to ease tomorrow, when you choose warm, grounding food after a long day, when you sit down to eat without distractions, you are doing this again. You are caveman preparing food with better lighting. The realization doesn't feel ironic. It feels reassuring. You understand now that food preparation was never about primitiveness or advancement. It was about relationship, with heat, with time, with the body, with other people, with the future. That relationship still exists. It always will. You finish eating and wipe your hands clean, feeling grounded, steady, awake. The day is ready to begin, and so are you. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels lacking. Before we let this world fade completely, take one slow breath with me. Inhale. Notice the warmth still living in your chest. Exhale. Feel the steadiness beneath your feet. You carry this knowledge with you now. The patience, the attention, the quiet confidence that comes from knowing how to feed yourself well. And as this ancient shelter softens and dissolves back into memory, you bring that calm forward into your own night, your own bed, your own breath. Now there's nothing left to do. No fires to tend, no food to prepare, no plans to make. Your body already knows how to rest. Let your breathing slow naturally, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel the weight of yourself supported by mattress, by pillow, by gravity itself. Just as stone supported you earlier, something solid is holding you now. If thoughts arise, let them pass like smoke. You don't need to follow them. They know the way out. Imagine warmth settling evenly through your body, not hot, not cold, just right. Your jaw softens, your shoulders melt downward, your hands rest where they want to. You are fed, you are safe, you are allowed to sleep. Nothing needs your attention tonight. Let the darkness feel friendly. Let silence feel full. Let sleep arrive at its own pace. And if you drift off before the next breath finishes, that's perfectly fine. You've done enough for today. Sweet dreams.